Chapter 287. Who are you looking for? The nurse, who had just finished changing the patient's medicine in the ward, saw Lu Chen standing at the door and asked curiously. This handsome guy was very stylish. He was tall and straight like a model, and the sunglasses on his face couldn't hide his handsomeness. The sight of him holding flowers made the little nurse's heart palpitate, and some scenes from idol dramas appeared in her mind. Lu Chen smiled at her and said, "I'm here to see Teacher Yi." His voice was neither soft nor loud, but everyone in the ward heard it clearly. The men and women who were fighting around the bed couldn't help but turn their heads and look. Finally they stopped making noise. Even Teacher Yi Xiaoyan, who was lying on the bed, opened her eyes. Lu Chen took off his sunglasses and walked straight over. He was 180 meters tall and very handsome. Coupled with his strong aura, the two middle-aged men in front of him couldn't help but move away. The little nurse holding the medical record suddenly widened her eyes. The person in front of her was different from the one in her memory. Lu Chen walked to the front of the bed and put the flowers on the bedside table. He smiled and asked Teacher Yi, who looked surprised, "Teacher Yi, are you feeling better?" Yi Xiaoyan fumbled for her glasses under the pillow and put them on. She narrowed her eyes and looked at Lu Chen. After a while she showed a surprised look. "Lu Chen, you are Lu Chen." After 4 or 5 years, Lu Chen's appearance had changed a lot, but she still quickly recognized him. "It's me," Lu Chen smiled and said, "Last night at the class reunion it was Huang Shan who told me that you were sick. Today I came to see you on behalf of all the students and they will also come." Yi Xiaoyan struggled to sit up, and Lu Chen quickly supported her and helped her sit more comfortably with a pillow. Teacher Yi grabbed Lu Chen's hand and said with emotion, "It's really you. I almost couldn't recognize you. Now you are more handsome than before and you have grown up and matured." Lu Chen nodded and gently held his teacher's rough and cold hand. He had grown up and matured, but Teacher Yi was even older and thinner. The years were too merciless. Recalling his teacher's care and concern for him in the past, Lu Chen's heart was extremely sour. He felt as if he had done something wrong as he hadn't greeted his teacher for several years. The middle-aged men and women around the bed looked at each other. An uncontrollable scream suddenly rang out, instantly attracting everyone's attention. The young nurse was covering her mouth with a red face. When she saw everyone looking at her, she awkwardly pushed the door open and left the ward. As she ran, she didn't forget to look back at Lu Chen again. Yi Xiaoyan smiled and said, "I heard that you are a star now. I even saw your news on the internet. You are really promising." Teacher is very happy. Perhaps it was because she was in a good mood, her face regained some color and showed some spirit. "Have you settled everything at home?" Lu Chen couldn't help but feel warm when he heard this. He knew that Teacher Yi had been concerned about him since he graduated from high school. "It's all settled. All the debts at home have been paid off, and the house has been redeemed." Yi Xiaoyan was gratified. "That's good. You can make money now. You have to be more filial to your mother. It's really not easy for her." Lu Chen's nose turned sour and he said, "She is very well now. You also have to take good care of yourself. If there is anything, call us. We are all children raised by you. We are not ungrateful people." The middle-aged men and women around him looked embarrassed. They felt that Lu Chen's words were like a slap in their faces. Yi Xiaoyan had a total of 3 sons and 1 daughter. All of them were present today, including her 2 daughters-in-law. They were just arguing about the sharing of medical expenses and hiring a nanny to take care of her, which was the matter of money. In fact, a teacher like Yi Xiaoyan had medical insurance and a high salary. However, the medical expenses were very high now. If she got seriously ill, she would have to deduct the part that could be reimbursed. The burden on her was not light. Hiring a nurse was also not cheap. It was normal to pay thousands or tens of thousands of yuan. It was really difficult for ordinary people to bear. But then again, if the 4 children shared the cost together, it was not a big number. Yi Xiaoyan would not let them pay all the money, but they still argued with each other. Lu Chen heard it clearly just now and he was extremely disgusted. His mother, Fang Yun, knew Yi Xiaoyan. She had once told Lu Chen that the latter's children had no conscience. Yi Xiaoyan had been engaged in education for decades and had never accepted gifts from students' parents. Her husband died very early, and it was not easy for her to raise 4 children alone. However, after these children got married and established a career, they had no filial piety. Now he saw that it was true. A middle-aged man couldn't keep his face. He glared and scolded, "Boy, what are you talking about?" Lu Chen's face darkened. He suddenly stood up and stared at the man with extremely sharp eyes. The middle-aged man's wife's complexion changed. She pulled her husband's sleeve and whispered a few words. She had heard of Lu Chen and knew Lu Chen's identity, so she was subconsciously timid. Cough cough. Yi Xiaolian coughed twice and waved her hand saying, "I'm talking to my students. All of you leave. Her children looked at each other and hesitated to move. Lu Chen sat down again and apologized. "Teacher Yi, I'm sorry," Yi Xiaolian resolutely said. "All of you leave. You don't need to pay for the medical expenses and I don't need a nanny. Mom will see you later." Her children and daughters-in-law left in a hurry and disappeared in the blink of an eye. No one really wanted to stay and take care of them. Yi Xiaolian forced a smile at Lu Chen and said, "I've let you see a joke. I've taught so many students but I didn't educate my children well. But they also have their difficulties." Lu Chen shook his head and said, "It doesn't matter. You still have us. I'll ask the doctor to transfer you to the intensive care unit." He reached out to press the call bell. Yi Xiaolian stopped him. "Don't bother. I'm fine living here. It's an old problem. I know you want to help me but I haven't reached this point yet. My medical insurance and salary are enough. If you have more money, go help more people who need help." She held Lu Chen's hand again and showed a faint smile on her face. "I know everything about you raising money to help the girl with leukemia. I'm really proud of you. What I'm most happy about is not that you have become a star or a celebrity, but that you have a kind heart. Don't forget your original intention, then you can go further on the road of life." Lu Chen nodded vigorously. After talking so much with Lu Chen, coupled with the ups and downs of her mood, Yi Xiaolian showed a little fatigue. Lu Chen quickly said, "Teacher, you should rest." Yi Xiaolian nodded and said, "Well, you should go back too. You don't have to accompany me here. Remember to go home when you have time." With that, she closed her eyes. Lu Chen silently helped the teacher remove the pillow, helped her lie down and covered her with the quilt, and watched her fall asleep. After making sure that Teacher Yi had fallen asleep, Lu Chen got up and left the ward. As soon as he walked out of the room, he felt many hot eyes focused on him. These eyes all came from the angels in white who worked at the nurse's station. They obviously already knew about Lu Chen. If it weren't for their work duties, they would have surrounded him. Lu Chen quickly put on his sunglasses again and walked to the information desk at the nurse's station. He asked the nurse sitting inside, "Hello, I want to change the patient in ward 1870 to the intensive care unit. How do I go through the procedures?" "Is Teacher Yi Xiaolian in ward 1870? The nurse blushed and whispered, "I'll help you check if there are any vacancies in the intensive care unit." Lu Chen smiled and said, "Yes, sorry to trouble you." The intensive care unit was a ward with special care. There was a single room and a nurse to monitor it 24 hours a day. Therefore, there was no need for family members to accompany them. It saved effort and money. Medical insurance would not reimburse them. But for Lu Chen, there was no pressure to pay for it. He was lucky. Probably because it was the new year, the wards in the People's Hospital were not so tight. There were still empty intensive care units, but according to the regulations, the patient or his family could transfer to another ward. Fortunately, Lu Chen's star aura played a role. After the deputy director on duty at the People's Hospital got the news, he rushed over in person. After learning about Lu Chen's request, he gave special treatment without hesitation. Respecting teachers was a good thing to promote virtue, not to mention that Lu Chen was a famous person in Binhai. At the same time, Lu Chen learned that Teacher Ye's illness was mainly serious gastric bleeding, which was a precursor to stomach cancer. Moreover, she had been overworked for many years and her liver and kidney functions were not good, so she needed a long time to recuperate and treat. He deposited a sum of money in his teacher's medical account and left his phone number at the hospital. In case the treatment fee was not enough, he could inform him in time. Of course, Lu Chen also left his signature and a group photo. When he left the hospital, it was almost noon. Driving out of the parking lot, Lu Chen was ready to go home for lunch. He did not expect that after a few steps, his cell phone rang. He answered the phone with the car's speaker. "Hello, Lu Chen?" There was a familiar voice on the other side. "Where are you?" It was Qin Fei. Lu Chen smiled and said, "I'm in Binhai. I just went to the hospital to visit my teacher. Now I'm going home." Qin Fei asked, "Can you pick me up at the high-speed railway station first? I'll be there soon." What? Lu Chen was shocked. "You came to Binhai?" Qin Fei smiled and said, "Yes, it's my first time in Binhai. Do you welcome me?" Lu Chen was speechless. This was too much of a surprise. Chapter 288. Lu Chen didn't expect that Qin Fei would come to Binhai to meet him. This spring festival, the heavenly queen of the music industry turned down all invitations and went back to her hometown for the new year. For a big shot like her, Unless she was determined to retire like Tan Hong, she wouldn't have much time to rest throughout the year. The new year was considered a long holiday for her, so time was extremely precious. Lu Chen couldn't help but feel excited. He hurriedly drove to the high-speed railway station to pick her up. When Lu Chen arrived at the station, Qin Fei-er's high-speed railway had just arrived. After waiting for a few minutes at the exit, he saw Qin Fei-er wearing a mask and sunglasses, as well as the latter's personal female bodyguard. The female bodyguard was called Ah Xian. It was said that she was a special female guard who had retired from the military. She had been with Qin Fei-er for several years. She looked ordinary and quiet, but her performance was very professional. She was also Qin Fei-er's daily driver and part-time assistant. She was one of Qin Fei-er's most trusted people. Out of the gate, Qin Fei-er also saw Lu Chen standing in the crowd. She quickly walked over to him. Lu Chen opened his arms and hugged Qin Fei-er in his arms. Smelling the familiar fragrance, Lu Chen resisted the urge to take off his mask and kiss her. He whispered, "Why are you here? Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Qin Fei-er said in a muffled voice through the mask, "I missed you, so I wanted to give you a surprise." Lu Chen couldn't help but laugh. "Let's go." There were many people here. If they were recognized by others, it would undoubtedly be very troublesome. Lu Chen drove the two to the Jinhao Hotel first. They booked a room with the bodyguard's ID card, and checked into a large luxury business suite. After settling down, Ah Xian hid in the attaché room, leaving space for the two of them. Qin Fei-er wore an ordinary down jacket today and didn't make up much, but she was still so beautiful without her glasses and mask. Lu Chen could no longer resist the inner impulse and held her for a long, deep kiss. Qin Fei-er responded enthusiastically and struggled a few times until she was almost out of breath. Lu Chen reluctantly let go of her and said, "You must be hungry. Let's go down and eat first." Qin Fei-er nodded softly and said with a smile, "You are the host, so you make the decision." Lu Chen smiled, put his arm around her waist and said, "Let's settle it here at noon. Come to my house tonight. My mother will be very happy to see you." Qin Fei-er's pretty face turned red. She hesitated for a moment and asked, "Is that not good? What's wrong with that?" Lu Chen said domineeringly, "Sooner or later it's decided. I'll call her first." Qin Fei-er took the initiative to come to Binhai to find him. If he continued to hide it from his family, what kind of man would he be? After that, Lu Chen took out his mobile phone and called Fang Yun. He told his mother that first of all, he wouldn't go home for lunch at noon, and that a friend would come to visit in the evening. Lu Chen didn't say that it was his girlfriend, so Fang Yun naturally agreed. While Lu Chen was talking to Fang Yun, Qin Fei-er hid behind him and hugged his waist with a sweet look on her face. They hadn't known each other for a long time. She didn't expect that they would come to this step so quickly. But feelings were like this. Once they fell in love, they couldn't wait to let the whole world know. Because of their special identities, it was not appropriate to make their relationship public for the time being. However, Lu Chen took Qin Fei-er to see his parents, which was undoubtedly a serious and responsible attitude towards their relationship. She didn't waste her efforts. They had lunch in the hotel restaurant. Qin Fei-er was tired after taking the high-speed train for 4 hours to Binhai, so she didn't go out in the afternoon. She slept in her room and didn't get up until 3 o'clock. It was the first time that she met Lu Chen's parents. Of course she wouldn't be careless. She spent more than an hour dressing up carefully. It wasn't until 5 o'clock that they arrived at the Lu family's house. "Mom, I'm back." After entering the door with big and small bags, Lu Chen shouted at the top of his voice. Fang Yun and Lu Shi were busy in the kitchen. Hearing the sound, she hurriedly poked her head out and said, "I see. Ask your friend to sit down and have tea first. The food will be ready soon." Qin Fei-er hurriedly greeted, "Hello, Auntie. Sorry to disturb you." Fang Yun was stunned. She didn't expect that Lu Chen would bring a girl home, and the girl looked very familiar. Ah. At this moment, Lu Shui, who was sitting on the sofa watching TV, screamed and jumped up. She stared at Qin Fei-er, her eyes wide open, and there was a piece of popcorn stuck to the corner of her mouth. Qin Fei-er?" Qin Fei-er smiled and said, "Hello, you must be Lu Shui, right?" Lu Shui's face was full of disbelief, as if she had found something incredible. The next moment she directly rushed over and hugged Qin Fei-er tightly, screaming, "Ah! I'm not dreaming, am I? It's really Qin Fei-er, it's really me." Lu Shui has always been a fan of Qin Fei-er, especially after watching Autumn in My Heart. She became a crazy fan. She even begged Lu Chen, hoping that Lu Chen could take her to see Qin Fei. Now that she actually saw Chen Fei-er in her own home, the little girl felt like it was a dream. It was very unreal. Chen Fei-er was a little surprised, but she had seen too many fans, so she quickly adapted to it. She smiled and patted the girl's shoulder. "It's me, you're not dreaming." At this time, Lu Shi ran out of the kitchen and was also surprised to see Chen Fei-er. She was the first to know about the relationship between Lu Chen and Chen Fei-er, and she also knew that the two of them didn't want to make their relationship public. Therefore, Chen Fei-er's sudden visit really shocked Lu Shi. Did the two of them think it through? Lu Shui. Fang Yun took off her apron and stuffed it into Lu Shi's hand. She walked out of the kitchen and scolded the little girl who was entangled like an octopus around Chen Fei's little girl. "Let go of the guest, what are you doing?" She turned to Chen Fei-er and smiled. "Sit down, don't pay attention to this crazy girl." Chen Fei-er's pretty face blushed. "Thank you, Auntie." Fang Yun looked at Chen Fei-er, and she was very satisfied with her. Chen Fei-er's figure and appearance were impeccable. When she was with Lu Chen, they were definitely a match made in heaven. If there were any shortcomings, it would be that Chen Fei-er was a few years older than Lu Chen. But in Fang Yun's opinion, this was not a problem at all. Older women could love men more and they were more understanding. Lu Shui finally let go of Chen Fei-er, but she still held her hand, looking distracted. "Sister Fei-er, can I call you sister-in-law in the future?" Chen Fei-er's face turned even redder. Chapter 289. On the third day of the Lunar New Year, the Lu family was particularly happy. Chen Fei-er's sudden visit added a lot of joy to the family, especially when Lu Shui was always by her idol's side. No matter how Fang Yun scolded her, she still clung to him shamelessly. The dinner was joyous and harmonious. Fang Yun kept putting food into Chen Fei-er's bowl and took good care of him. Lu Chen and the other two were almost jealous. Chen Fei-er was very embarrassed, but he couldn't refuse. He watched the dishes piling up in his bowl. Lu Chen brazenly protected the beauty and secretly helped to eliminate a lot of them. As a result, he was scolded by Fang Yun. Lu Chen was helpless. Chen Fei-er pursed her lips and smiled. After dinner, she wanted to help clean up the dishes, but Fang Yun firmly stopped her. Lu Shui pestered Chen Fei-er with countless questions. Chen Fei-er loved her very much. She also took out a gift for her. Lu Shui opened the beautifully wrapped box with surprise and found that there was a diamond-studded princess crown in it. It was very beautiful. She was so happy that she almost fainted. "Thank you, Sister Fei." Of course, Chen Fei-er didn't just bring one gift. She also gave Lu Shi a set of branded cosmetics and a mink coat for Fang Yun. Fang Yun complained, "I'm very happy that you can come. Why did you buy such expensive gifts?" She knew that the mink coat was at least tens of thousands of yuan. Chen Fei-er said obediently, "It's just a little token of my appreciation. It's not very expensive." The more Fang Yun looked at Chen Fei-er, the more she liked him. Not only was he handsome and beautiful, but he also had a good temperament. Moreover, he was a well-mannered lady. Fang Yun began to worry that her son was not worthy of Chen Fei-er. After thinking for a while, Fang Yun went back to her room upstairs. She quickly returned and pulled Chen Fei-er's hand. She put on a green jade bracelet for Chen Fei. Fang Yun said, "Fei-er, it's our first time meeting. I don't have anything good to give you. This bracelet was left to me by Grandma Lu Chen. Now I'm giving it to you. I hope you like it." Although this jade bracelet wasn't a top-notch item worth millions or even tens of millions, it was still an antique from the Qing dynasty. It was a family heirloom of the Lu clan that was passed down through the generations. It was meant for Lu Chen's wife. Therefore, when the Lu family was at its most difficult time, Fang Yun had never thought of selling the bracelet. She gave the jade bracelet to Chen Fei-er, which meant that she officially recognized the latter. How could Chen Fei-er not understand Fang Yun's intention? She blushed and said softly, "Thank you, Auntie." With her wealth, she could afford jade worth tens of millions, but she couldn't find anything more precious than the one in her hand. Seeing that Chen Fei-er accepted the jade bracelet, Fang Yun was even happier. She held Chen Fei-er's hand and began to inquire about Chen Fei-er's family. Chen Fei-er's hometown was Xia Island. When she was very young, her parents divorced and formed new families. Her mother emigrated to Canada early in her life. Her father was currently teaching at a university in the capital. She was raised by her grandmother. Her parents had 2 younger brothers and 2 younger sisters, but they didn't have much contact with each other. Fang Yun sighed. It was really not easy for Chen Fei-er to achieve what she had today with such a family situation. The two chatted as if they were the most intimate mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. As a result, Lu Chen, Lu Shui, and others were left aside. Chen Fei-er was a little worried when she came over. She didn't know whether Lu Chen's mother was easy to get along with. For Chinese people, the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law was always the most complicated. Now, it seems that her worries are completely superfluous. Fang Yun's character is strong, generous and gentle. Her love for her is completely from the heart. The two get along surprisingly well, and even have a kind of regret for not meeting each other earlier. Time flew, and it was almost 10 o'clock in the blink of an eye. Fang Yun reluctantly ended the conversation with Chen Feier and told Lu Shi, "Xiaoxi, tidy up the guest room upstairs." She then said to Chen Feier, "It's late. You can stay here and have an early rest." In fact, Chen Feier didn't intend to stay in the Lu family's house, but now that it had come to this, she couldn't refuse Fang Yun's kindness, so she shyly agreed. Chen Feier followed Lu Shi to the guest room, and Lu Shui naturally followed them. Lu Chen also wanted to follow, but Fang Yun stopped him. Fang Yun complained, "Why didn't you tell me earlier that your girlfriend was coming? I didn't even prepare." Lu Chen rubbed his nose and said with a wry smile, "I didn't know before." "Let's not talk about this," Fang Yun said. "Feier is really a good person. You should cherish her. The most important thing for two people to get along is tolerance and understanding. As a man, you should take more responsibility and not be as willful as before." Lu Chen nodded and said seriously, "I know." Fang Yun said, "When you were young, your grandmother told your fortune in the Baiyin Taoist temple. She said that you would be surrounded by love when you grew up. I don't believe in fortune-telling, but now that you have a girlfriend and are developing in the entertainment industry, you will definitely come into contact with a lot of girls. Remember to control yourself. Don't let Feier down because of your love." Lu Chen scratched his head and said, "I know." Fang Yun rolled her eyes at him and said, "Don't make the girls who like you cry." Lu Chen was speechless. He felt that his mother was like a top NPC in the game, and then she gave him a legendary mission which he had to complete. Fang Yun drove him away. "Go and rest early." But Lu Chen didn't feel sleepy at all. After sitting in his room for more than half an hour, he couldn't help but secretly run to the guest room. He knocked on the door gently. After a while, the door opened quietly, and the beautiful woman smiled sweetly. Obviously she had expected it. Lu Chen's heart warmed up. He went into the room, held Chen Feier in his arms and closed the door. Chen Feier had just taken a bath and was wearing a set of long-sleeved pajamas. The air conditioner in the room was warm, and she was so fragrant that Lu Chen had the urge to turn into a beast, and his eyes were red. He lowered his head and kissed her lips fiercely. Chen Feier let Lu Chen touch her gently, but when his big hand reached into her pajamas, she blushed and stopped him from going further into the forbidden area. In this regard, Chen Feier was very conservative. Lu Chen resisted the urge, let go of her reluctantly and pulled her to sit on the bed. "This is a gift for you." Chen Feier took out a small silver box from under the pillow and handed it to Lu Chen. Lu Chen was surprised. "I have one too?" He opened the box happily and found that Chen Feier gave him a silver metal pendant. It was unique in shape and well made, but it was definitely not a valuable item. Chen Feier explained, "This is a lucky charm. It is said that wearing it will bring you good luck." Lu Chen smiled. "My luck is already very good." He was telling the truth. He thanked fate for giving him an incredible miracle when he was at his lowest. He also thanked fate for letting him meet this beautiful woman in front of him and fall in love with her. Even so, he still wore the lucky charm on himself. Watching Lu Chen put on the charm, Chen Feier tilted his head and asked him, "Do you know what day it will be in a few days?" "A few days?" Lu Chen was stunned, but he quickly reacted. "Valentine's Day?" Chen Feier smiled. "Yes, I have an endorsement event that day, so I came to meet you in advance. So that's how it is." Lu Chen suddenly realized that today was February 10th, and it would be Valentine's Day in a few days. Chen Feier obviously had important work arrangements, so he specially came to Binhai to celebrate the festival with him in advance. "This lucky charm is a Valentine's Day gift." Lu Chen was annoyed. "You didn't remind me. I haven't prepared a gift for you." Chen Feier smiled. "You can make it up to me when the time comes. It's not too late." Lu Chen's eyes turned and he suddenly threw her on the bed. He leaned close to her jade-like ear and chuckled, "Why don't I give myself to you as a gift now? How about I devote myself to you?" Chen Feier's pretty face showed shyness again. Her eyes were full of charm. She was really beautiful. Lu Chen couldn't bear it. He hugged her and kissed her again. This time, Chen Feier was also very emotional. She finally released her upper body to Lu Chen, letting him enjoy the amazing warm and smooth feeling that couldn't be grasped with one hand. Unfortunately, even when she was at the most confused, she still held the bottom line and didn't let Lu Qin complete the final breakthrough. The two lingered for a long time. The next morning, Qin Feier, who was almost the daughter-in-law of the Lu family, said goodbye to Lu Qin and the Lu family and returned to the capital. On February 12th, the 5th day of the first month of the lunar calendar, Lu Qin and Lu Shi also returned to the capital. When leaving, Lu Qin left his Mercedes-Benz to his mother, so that it would be convenient for her to go to and from work. Fang Yun didn't want it. She thought that the Mercedes-Benz SUV was too ostentatious. However, she couldn't resist the persuasion of Lu Qin and Lu Shi, so she reluctantly kept it. In fact, in Binhai there were all kinds of luxury cars. Supercars were common on the street. A Mercedes-Benz SUV was nothing at all. The most important thing was that its safety factor was high enough to make them feel at ease. In the end, Lu Shi didn't forget to remind Lu Shui not to tell others about Qin Feier. The love between the two couldn't be exposed for the time being. Lu Shui finally became sensible for once. She swore to keep her mouth shut and never reveal the secret. Lu Qin was deeply doubtful about this. However, he couldn't care about other things for the time being. After returning to the capital, he was busy with work. It was a coincidence that Lu Qin also had an important endorsement event on Valentine's Day. Then, as soon as he returned to the capital, people from all walks of life came to his door. There were peers in the circle, entertainment agencies, record and film companies, and reporters from TV stations and newspapers and magazines. In addition, Lu Qin also received an invitation. 72H Grass Music Festival. Chapter 290. With the formation of the entertainment industry, there were currently many pop music festivals in the country. 72H was undoubtedly one of the most famous music festivals, and it had the longest history dating back to the 90s. In the early 90s, many domestic record companies and 7 famous musicians in the circle jointly advocated the first Mystic Open Music Festival, in Beijing's Chaoyang Park. At that time, 32 singers and 11 bands were invited to participate, and the audience that came to participate in the music festival exceeded 10,000 people. Rock and roll representatives such as the famous Black Crow Band, Sky Band, and so on all participated in this music feast. At that time, the Mystic Open Music Festival caused a great sensation in the domestic music industry, and it was the predecessor of the 72H Grass Music Festival. Later, it was renamed and moved to Yeshan Park in the New Era Art Park. So far, the 72H Grass Music Festival had been held 19 times. Although it had been interrupted a few times in the middle, its influence in the pop music industry had always been great, and it was especially loved by true pop music lovers. The 72H Grass Music Festival mainly invited singers and bands with unique characteristics. Regardless of whether the other party was a big shot in the circle or a street performer, as long as they had a unique singing style or work, they would have the opportunity to stand on its stage and show their strength to tens of thousands of audience members. In the previous 72H Grass Music Festival, there had been many bands that were originally unknown and many musicians who mingled at the bottom of the circle became famous with one song. They were signed by entertainment agencies on the spot and embarked on the road to fame. According to the past practice, the 72H Grass Music Festival would start at noon on the first Friday of March every year and end at noon on the next Monday, lasting exactly 72 hours. At that time, the singers, bands and live audience members would come from all over the country. The music festival's organizing committee would only be responsible for the traveling expenses and accommodation of the singers and bands that came to participate in the performance, and would not pay any additional compensation. The performance site was a temporary outdoor stage. The audience could set up tents and camp on the grass around the stage, drink beer, eat barbecue, and listen to music for 3 consecutive days and 2 nights. It was precisely because of the special atmosphere that the commercial atmosphere of 72H was very light, leaning towards purity and niche. The songs that were popular here would not be fast songs or divine songs. Even if Qin Feier went on stage, she would not get much applause. This was because she sang sweet songs and the 72H audience liked rock, jazz, R&B, rap and so on. The audience of 72H was very harsh. It was not easy to get their approval. If they liked someone they would shout, clap and shout. If they didn't like someone they would just boo them off the stage. There were often famous singers or bands that were booed at the 72H live venue until they were in a sorry state and lost all face. Therefore, when people in the industry received this invitation, they would seriously consider it. Those who were strong were naturally not afraid, and they would gladly accept the challenge. But those who were not strong enough. Lu Shi asked, "Do you want to participate?" After she received this invitation, she specially went online to learn about the 72H Music Festival. She felt that the taste inside was not very right because Luchin was obviously not the kind of singer that the 72H Grass Music Festival loved. One of the purposes of the 72H Grass Music Festival was to give opportunities to those powerful singers at the bottom and underground levels. Of course, they also welcomed companies like the Biotics. Luchin faintly smiled and said, "Why not?" He had heard of the Mystic Music Festival when he was in junior high, and he had been looking forward to it. Now that the other party had taken the initiative to invite him, he could fulfill his childhood dream. As for the problems that others were worried about, Luchin really didn't have to worry. Lucy wasn't very worried. Since Luchin wanted to go, she wouldn't dissuade him. "Okay, then I'll reply to them." The matter of participating in the 72H Grass Music Festival was settled. Lucy handed Luchin another piece of paper. On the thin A4 printing paper, the latest ratings data of Autumn in My Heart were listed. On February 5th and 6th, Hygiene Satellite TV continued to broadcast the 17th and 18th episodes of this popular drama, winning the terrifying ratings of 23% and 47% respectively, continuing the previous miracle. It should be known that these 2 days were the eve of New Year's Eve. Under normal circumstances, the ratings of TV dramas would generally decline. Not only was Autumn in My Heart not affected by the new year, but it rose against the market, which was really incredible. As for QQ Video, the total number of views of Autumn in My Heart has exceeded 2 billion, crushing all competitors. And the last 2 episodes of Autumn in My Heart, the finale, will be broadcast on the 13th and 14th. It coincided with Valentine's Day. Luchin wanted to laugh. Is this really okay? Lucy knew the ending of the story. She thought about it very seriously and smiled. "You'll be scolded to death." Luchin said, "Maybe, but I think a lot of people will remember this Valentine's Day." A smile appeared on his face. It was more or less a little evil. "By the way," Lucy said, "Shanghai Publishing House, Group News Publishing House and Beijing Publishing House have all contacted us, hoping to publish the novel version of Autumn in My Heart. The conditions given by the 3 are not bad. In addition, there is Color Impression Comic Book Society, which wants to get the comic adaptation rights of Autumn in My Heart, and the ratings of Autumn in My Heart have broken through the phenomenal level, and the number of audience fans has been increasing. A popular IP has quickly taken shape, and naturally various units and institutions want to obtain the IP expansion copyright from Luchin Publishing House. Novels and comics are only a part of it, and they also represent huge profits." Luchin thought about it and said, "These 2 copyrights are up to you. Whoever gives more will get it. We can put the novel together with the publishing house on the internet for crowdfunding, and produce a few more set versions." The novel version of Autumn in My Heart, serialized on his blog, ended after 2/3 of the content was published, leaving room for physical publishing in advance. The use of crowdfunding would undoubtedly improve sales results. Originally, Lucy estimated that Autumn in My Heart could bring Luchin Studio a profit of about 15 million yuan, but now it seemed that it was still a big underestimation. The market's enthusiasm for IP meant more benefits. "Well, I got it." Lucy wrote it down and said, "Don't forget to prepare for the event on the 14th. On February 14th, that is Valentine's Day, Luchin will attend the opening ceremony of Senki's flagship store in Beijing. He has signed a 1-year endorsement contract with this clothing brand, and he must attend such an important event. Senki Clothing will also launch their new couple sportswear on that day, and Luchin will be a model. As a singer, Luchin must sing live. Because of the special day, choosing a song is very important." Luchin said with a smile, "I won't forget." He has already thought about what song to sing that day, but he needs to prepare in advance. Chapter 291. It was still early. Luchin took out his mobile phone, opened the address book, and called Wang Jing of Nirvana Studios. He was going to let the other party do the live accompaniment for the opening of Senki's flagship store in Beijing. Originally, Luchin had contracted these businesses to Flying Stone Records, but this time he didn't have much work. In addition, Wang Jing borrowed money from him last time. It should be that Nirvana Studios had a problem with its operation, so he would help if he could. After all, the 2 sides used to cooperate very happily. As a result, the phone rang a dozen times but no one answered, and then it went to voicemail. Luchin didn't care and called Wang Changxing again. The other party turned off his phone. This time Luchin was a little puzzled. Although it was only the 6th day of the first lunar month, it was impossible for Nirvana Studios not to have opened yet. It should be known that the first lunar month was often the best time for music production units. He thought about it and simply went straight to Nirvana Studios. It was in the same park and it was only a 10-minute walk from here to there. When he arrived at the floor where Nirvana was located, as soon as the elevator door opened, Lu Chen saw a scene of chaos. The door of the studio was open and various tables, chairs, benches and cardboard boxes were piled up in the doorway. Inside, people in blue work uniforms were busy as if they were moving. Wang Jing, Wang Hui and the 3 members of the Nirvana band were standing in the corner of the door. They were either holding instruments or big boxes in their hands, and all of them looked lost. Seeing such a scene, Lu Chen couldn't help but be surprised. He hurriedly walked over and asked, "Wang Jing, Wang Hui, what happened to your studio? Are you going to move?" "Brother Lu Chen," Wang Hui squeezed out an ugly smile and said, "Our studio is over." "Over?" Lu Chen was stunned. He knew that Nirvana Studios' business had not been very good, but it was barely able to keep going. Moreover, this studio was the culmination of Wang Changxing's family's efforts. How could it end just like that? Wang Jing's face was pale. She twisted her hands and said in a low voice, "Lu Chen, I owe you money, let's not talk about this." Lu Chen interrupted her, "Tell me what's going on." When he was working on the album, You Who Sat Next to Me, he worked at Nirvana Studios for a long time and had a good relationship with Wang Jing and Wang Hui. Later, he ended the cooperation because he needed to improve the quality of his work. The equipment and foundation of Nirvana Studios were still lacking. However, during that collaboration, Lu Chen learned a lot from Wang Jing and got along well with his peers. They were young, enthusiastic, full of drive and enthusiasm, full of expectations for the future. So now that he heard that Nirvana Studios was over, Lu Chen also felt uncomfortable and uneasy and wanted to ask what was going on. Wang Hui glanced at his sister timidly and then explained the reason to Lu Chen. It turned out that a month ago Wang Changxing received a big contract, the kind that was quite profitable. If done well, the studio could last for a year, but the initial investment was relatively large. In order to get this contract, he raised money everywhere without discussing it with Wang Hui and Wang Jing. He even mortgaged his studio's equipment to raise 700,000 yuan to invest in the project. As a result, he never expected that the other party turned out to be a group of swindlers who set a trap for Wang Changxing. All the investments were naturally wasted, and the creditors came to the door again. Suffering such a heavy blow, Wang Changxing fell ill directly and was still in the hospital. And Nirvana Studios naturally could not be kept. It was not enough to pay off all the assets to others. Such a thing actually happened. Lu Chen didn't know what to say. The business world was like a battlefield. A little carelessness could lead to total annihilation. After all, Wang Changxing was not experienced enough to be cheated, but these swindlers were really hateful. He asked, "Have you called the police?" Wang Hui nodded and said, "Yes, we are not the only studio that was cheated. The police have filed a case but the people have long run away. The money in the bank account has been transferred, and it is difficult to recover the loss." He looked sad. "The money can be transferred again but my father." Lu Chen reached out and patted him on the shoulder to comfort him. "You are here, is there anyone taking care of Uncle Wang?" Wang Hui said, "My mother is with him. He is fine but he is mainly worried." At this time, Wang Jing interrupted and said, "Lu Chen, I will find a way to pay you back the money I owe you as soon as possible." Her expression was very determined, the kind that would not be happy until she got it back. Wang Hui's face turned red. "Sister, let's pay it back together." Lu Chen thought about it and said, "If you want to pay me back as soon as possible, I have a way." Wang Jing opened her eyes wide. "What way?" Lu Chen smiled and said, "Come to my studio. I will give you a base salary of 10,000 yuan plus performance rewards. It will be paid back soon." Wang Jing graduated from the composition department of Beijing Conservatory of Music and has some work experience. All the arrangements of the album You Who Sat Next to Me were basically done by her. Her talent and strength are quite excellent. Lu Chen always felt that she was buried in Nirvana Studios. In the past, Lu Chen had no idea of poaching at all, but now Nirvana Studios is a thing of the past. Wang Jing whispered. She didn't expect Lu Chen to invite her to work in his studio. Lu Chen turned his head and said to Wang Hui, "How about you and the Nirvana band come and help me? The treatment will be good and I can build you another recording studio, a real professional recording studio." He has long had the idea of forming his own band and building a recording studio. Although outsourcing saves money and trouble, after all, he can't complete his own music ideas at will on other people's territory. In fact, it's a matter of money. It costs at least millions to build a professional recording studio, which ordinary small companies can't afford. but for the current Lu Qin it's really not a problem. His proposal now is tantamount to merging all the people of Nirvana Studios. Wang Hui was overjoyed. Lu Qin, do you really want to invite us? Lu Qin said with a smile, of course it's true, and to build a recording studio, I will give you a 5 million equipment budget. Wang Hui's saliva came down. 5 million equipment budget? He is a typical technical geek and has an obsession with audio-electronic equipment that others can't understand. The 5 million equipment budget is enough for him to build a studio of his dreams. It should be known that the equipment budget does not include the cost of the studio decoration, which is also an amazing expense. Lu Qin asked the other 3 members of the Nirvana band, what do you think? The 3 looked at each other and then looked at Wang Jing. Wang Jing bit her lip and didn't speak. She knows very well that for Nirvana Studios and the Nirvana band, joining Lu Qin's studio is the best result. Everyone doesn't have to disband and look for a new job, and they don't have to worry about maintaining their lives. If Lu Qin was just a small role in the entertainment circle half a year ago, then he has gradually grown into a towering tree and is someone who can really be relied on. Lu Qin said that he will give Wang Hui a 5 million equipment budget, which is certainly not a discount. He has such strength. The eyes of the 3 members of the Nirvana band are all willing, but they respect Wang Jing's wishes. After a moment of silence, Wang Jing sighed secretly in her heart and nodded with a smile. Hooray! Wang Hui was the first to shout. The haze on the faces of the Nirvana band members was swept away and they were all very excited. If possible, they don't want to be separated. Now the way out is really great. Lu Qin said, I should have gone to see Uncle Wang, but now I have a work that needs to be arranged. It will be performed live tomorrow night, accompanied by a live band. Can you help me? He stared at Wang Jing, who nodded again. Wang Hui has an opinion, Brother Lu Qin, but most of our instruments are also locked. Several members of the Nirvana band smiled bitterly. They could only bring out 2 guitars and a bass. They were all personal equipment that they had bought before. The Nirvana band has a total of 4 members, lead singer/guitarist Wang Jing, bassist Ouyang He, keyboardist Wen Yuan and drummer Yang Xiaoi. They are all around 23 or 24 years old, which is a very young team. But the professional level of this band is good, and they have done a very good job of accompanying Lu Qin's works before. Otherwise, Lu Qin would not have invited them to join him with great sincerity. In fact, it is a matter of course for a singer-songwriter like him to form a band, and a live band and an accompaniment are 2 completely different things, giving the audience a completely different feeling. With Lu Qin's current status and fame in the circle, it is not a problem to recruit a stronger lineup than the Nirvana band, but stronger is not necessarily better. And the Nirvana band is young enough and has unlimited growth potential. He smiled and said, it's simple. We'll go buy it now and buy whatever we lack. Now no one has anything to say. With limited time, Lu Qin acted quickly. He asked Wang Hui to report to his studio first, and then drove the Nirvana band to buy musical instruments and equipment. Choose what you need. With Lu Qin's backing, it didn't take too much time to buy musical instruments. Including Wang Jing, the members of the Nirvana band picked out their favorite equipment. Lu Qin also asked his sister to rent a temporary business car to facilitate the moving of musical instruments and personnel. That night, he and Wang Jing completed the arrangement of the new work together. Time is too tight to do it very carefully, but there is no problem in dealing with tomorrow's endorsement event. February 14th, Valentine's Day, the members of the reformed and renamed New Nirvana band, no one cared about this romantic holiday. Everyone began to rehearse Lu Qin's new song. New team, new members, new works and new instruments, but the first cooperation went surprisingly smoothly. At 3 p.m., the Nirvana band set off for the scene. Chapter 292. Lovers are happiest. Happy Valentine's Day. Among the festivals spread from abroad to China, Christmas and Valentine's Day are undoubtedly the most accepted by young people. Of course, this is due to the vigorous advocacy of businesses. After their long-term and unremitting efforts, Valentine's Day has been rendered into a romantic day, and they have happily harvested the money in the wallets of men and women. Therefore, shopping malls and entertainment venues in the city are particularly rich in activities on Valentine's Day. Many brands use this special day to promote and market. Senki's flagship store in Beijing was chosen to open on February 14th. This newly rising clothing brand is ambitious and very willing to invest in advertising. Some time ago, they signed an endorsement contract with Lu Qin with a value of up to 1 million yuan. This time, the opening of the flagship store naturally includes Lu Qin. The address of Senki's flagship store is located on the east side of People's Square, which is a prime location within the second ring road of Beijing. Because Valentine's Day coincided with Sunday, and many companies and units had not yet opened for business, there were a lot of people in People's Square. Most of them were couples, and from time to time little girls selling roses shuttled among them. It was a bustling and noisy scene. On the huge LED screen on the east side of the square, Senki's Valentine's Day advertisement has been displayed, as well as a performance notice. The stage of the opening ceremony was set up near the advertising screen, only a few dozen steps away from Senki's flagship store with a rainbow arch. Many staff members have been busy setting up speakers, curtains, flower baskets, and so on. Although there were still a few hours before the official start of the opening ceremony, many audiences have appeared around the stage, asking the staff about something. They are basically Lu Chen's fans. Senki's publicity offensive has been launched early. The LED screen in the square has the name of the male lead of Autumn in My Heart, and it has also crowned Lu Chen with the title of Prince of Music. His stills in the TV series can be seen clearly from a long distance. Taking advantage of the popularity of Autumn in My Heart, Senki, who has been endorsed by Lu Chen, has earned a wave of popularity. This time, the opening of the flagship store has been publicized with this golden signboard. Of course, they also have to pay Lu Chen additional advertising fees. But his peers in the industry were already envious to death. He got Lu Chen's endorsement for a year with a mere $1 million. For Senki it was a huge profit. Now, Lu Chen's net worth from endorsements was at least $4 or $5 million. If an artist really became popular, the fees for endorsements would skyrocket. Wang Jing stood on the stage helping her partner put the drums, keyboards, and other new equipment in place. There was still a surreal feeling in her heart. Before the new year, when Wang Jing heard from her father, who seemed to have aged more than 10 years, that she had been cheated, she felt as if she had been struck by lightning. The pain in her heart was really indescribable. She couldn't blame her father for worrying about the studio. She could only resent the shamelessness of the liar. As a result, when it rains it pours. Extreme guilt and sadness crushed Wang Changxing, causing him to fall ill. Nirvana Studios was completely over, and the family didn't even have the money to treat Wang Changxing's illness. In desperation, Wang Jing asked Lu Chen for help. After the new year, creditors came to the door, Nirvana Studios was powerless to recover, and the Nirvana band faced the situation of disbandment. No matter how reluctant Wang Jing was, she couldn't change this fact. However, Lu Chen appeared. Yesterday morning she, her brother, and her friends were like stray dogs. Today they appeared on the stage and will perform for countless audiences. They no longer need to worry about their future and fate. Next month, they will also participate in the 72H Music Festival. It was like Nirvana rebirth. Nirvana was changed to Nirvana. The meaning and pronunciation have not changed, but it is a new beginning. Wang Jing took a deep breath and secretly told herself to work hard. She can't let down Lu Chen's trust and help. At the same time, she also hid the thoughts buried deep in her heart in a deeper corner, letting time wear them away. Sister, come here and help me take a look. Wang Hui's call woke Wang Jing up and she immediately walked in the direction of her brother. Her footsteps were light. The pace of time was equally light, and in the blink of an eye, it was sunset and dusk. The sky gradually darkened, and the street lamps arranged in the People's Square and the lights on the stage were lit up. More and more people appeared in the square. They were attracted by the scene here and slowly gathered around. In the middle of the crowd, there were many young men and women holding fluorescent signs. The signs showed the words Lu Chen, Chin Chin, and so on. The red and green signs were particularly eye-catching. Autumn in My Heart has gathered a lot of popularity for Lu Chen. His current number of fans on Wave's blog has exceeded 15 million. The opening event of Senki flagship store tonight was announced in advance on the blog, so it attracted many real fans to cheer. The security personnel at the scene isolated them outside the safety line in time. Since the Hangzhou incident, now there are celebrity endorsements, and the security forces have been strengthened a lot. At this moment, Lu Chen was in the lobby of the Senki flagship store, which had not yet opened, holding his mobile phone and interacting with Chen Fei, through QQ. It's Valentine's Day, but the two lovers can't spend this sweet festival together. It's a pity, but it's completely normal in the entertainment industry. Many star artists often don't fall in love in their career, not only because they are afraid of affecting their popularity, but also because their emotional life and work are too easy to conflict, and not many partners can last long. Chen Fei also has a very important endorsement event today, and her place is only 2 streets away from the People's Square. After a few words, Lu Chen told Chen Fei about his recruitment to form the Nirvana band. There's also the preparation of a recording studio. Chen Fei was very happy and said that she wouldn't have to go to others to record songs in the future, and that she could complete all the work here at Lu Chen's place. She said, "If you want to do it well. I'll join in." Lu Chen smiled and said, "Okay, I'll be the boss and you'll be the lady boss." Chen Fei returned a smile and a sweet kiss. She said, "I'm so bored here. I really want to go and see you at the scene." Lu Chen looked at it and asked tentatively, "Why don't we meet again after it's over?" Chen Fei returned a helpless expression. "Believe it or not, there will be a bunch of paparazzi following me?" Lu Chen thought about that picture and was really a little drunk. "Okay." Chen Fei gave another sweet kiss. "I'll make it up to you later." The two were intimate for more than half an hour, and the opening ceremony of Senki flagship store finally began. Chapter 293. People's Square was located in a superior location, surrounded by bustling commercial areas. Usually, except for the bad weather of wind and rain, there were many citizens who came for a walk at night. Today was Valentine's Day, and the couples in the streets and alleys were dazzling. People's Square naturally became a good place for lovers. After a warm and romantic dinner, they would go out for a walk, which made the people gathering here more and more vigorous. The opening ceremony of Senki's flagship store naturally attracted the attention of a large number of passers-by. In particular, the video content in the nearby large LED billboard made many young men and women excited, and they gathered around to watch the fun. The national average ratings of Autumn in My Heart, of more than 2% made this TV series a phenomenal existence with countless fans. Knowing that the hero was about to appear here, even non-fans wanted to watch the fun. The time advanced to 6:30, and the opening ceremony officially began. As usual, the host went on stage first and said a lot of words, and then quickly entered the model show segment. Handsome men and beautiful women in couples' clothes walked on the stage, showing the new spring clothes of Senki brand. The crowd of onlookers was getting denser and denser. Many fans held up fluorescent signs and shouted the name of Lu Chen. They didn't come to see the opening of the flagship store, nor did they like the model show. They came for Lu Chen. The most important thing was that there was the finale of Autumn in My Heart tonight. Even if the broadcast time was wisely delayed by Hygiene Satellite TV to 9:30, everyone hoped that after watching Lu Chen live, they could go home early to watch the live broadcast on TV or on the internet. The cheers were getting stronger and stronger, and the host, who came on stage again after the show, couldn't resist it. Seeing that the situation was getting out of control, the host on the scene had a quick wit. He laughed and said loudly, "It seems that everyone likes Mr. Lu Chen, the spokesperson of our Senki, very much. Well, let's count down together to welcome him to perform for us on the stage. What do you think?" Screams rose and fell one after another, and many female fans jumped up and shouted excitedly. The host said, "Then I'll start counting down 10, 9, 8. There was no such segment in the original arrangement of the ceremony. Lu Chen would only appear in half an hour, but no one could say that there was anything wrong with the host's decision. Instead, they had to praise him for his quick-wittedness. The organizers still underestimated Lu Chen's popularity and influence. The crowd gathered around the stage was so dense that there was no end in sight. Hundreds of waving fluorescent signs were enough to show the number of his fans. Lu Chen's studio had never hired professional fans. These fans were the real hardcore fans. If they delayed any longer and caused chaos, the organizers would have to bear the consequences. Now that the countdown began, the fans immediately calmed down. They followed the host and shouted, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The spotlight instantly shone on the stairs leading to the stage, and Lu Chen walked up with a smile on his face. He was at the back of the temporary stage and he was just making an early appearance. As soon as he appeared, the fans at the scene immediately shouted and screamed excitedly, "Lu Chen, I love you." There was also someone who called Juanxi, which was a blue fan. Lu Chen wore a set of custom-made casual clothes and sneakers from Senki today. He looked not only handsome but also full of vitality while holding a guitar. Coupled with a hearty smile and a free and easy pace, he instantly fascinated a large number of female fans. "Ah, so handsome." Big Lu Chen has always been so handsome, but today he is especially handsome. On Valentine's Day, Big Lu Chen is also single. Single is glorious, long live single. I really want to go to the scene, but the capital is too far away. Haha, I'm at the scene. There are too many people in the People's Square. I don't know what song Lu Chen will sing tonight. Lu Chen's endorsement event at the opening ceremony of Senki's flagship store was also broadcast live on Whale TV. He has long been the #1 anchor in this live broadcasting platform. Although the time of the live broadcast was big, and most of them were not live anchors, his popularity has always been maintained in a very high position. On the evening of Valentine's Day, the number of online users in Lu Chen's live broadcast room exceeded 2 million. Even if it was announced in advance, people still have to sigh at the strength of the single dog group. Li Feiyu was still in charge of the live broadcast, but the equipment for the live broadcast had long been upgraded. It was equipped with a professional recording system, coupled with the high-speed 4G Plus network, so that the fans sitting in front of the computer could see the clearest picture. They saw Lu Chen standing in front of the microphone and said with a smile, "Good evening, everyone, I'm Lu Chen." After that, he bowed deeply to the audience. The screams at the scene instantly rose a lot, almost breaking through the sky. Straightening up, Lu Chen continued, "Today is a very special day. Seeing all of you loving each other, I really feel that I have suffered a ton of damage. You are so cruel." He deliberately showed an exaggerated sad expression. The same picture was not only transmitted to the network space in real time, but also synchronized on the giant LED screen in People's Square, so that thousands of people present could see Lu Chen and hear his voice. For the opening ceremony of this flagship store, Senki spent a lot of money, and the effect on the scene was really good. Laughter and applause sounded at the same time. Although they knew that Lu Chen was joking, the couples present still had a feeling of schadenfreude. A big star is also a single dog. Lu Chen said with a smile, "Originally, I wanted to sing a single love song for all single people, including myself, but I didn't expect there to be so many couples present, so the minority obeys the majority. The first song is a new song which I wrote especially for you." The sound of applause exploded in an instant. Who knew Lu Chen and didn't know his talent in music creation? Being able to hear his new work was undoubtedly the biggest surprise tonight, and the fans were really happy. Especially recently, Lu Chen has been busy shooting TV series and has not produced any works. Lu Chen leaned over and said, "In addition, I would also like to recommend a band to you here. Its name is Nirvana, the Nirvana of Phoenix Nirvana, and it is also my personal live band. First of all, I would like to introduce the guitarist of the Nirvana band, Wang Jing. The Nirvana band has been on the stage for a long time. The accompaniment music for the previous model show was played by them. Everyone did not expect that this team was actually Lu Chen's personal band, and they all applauded warmly. Wang Jing, whose name was called, quickly got up and bowed to the audience to thank them, and the camera's lens swept over. Wow, beautiful guitarist. Wang Jing? This name feels familiar. Yes, I also have an impression. Let me tell you, Wang Jing is the arranger of the album You Who Sat Next to Me. I remember it very clearly. Handsome. Big Lu Chen finally has a band. Reward and support. Oh, it's a pity that I didn't go to the scene. Compared with the scene in the People's Square, the atmosphere in the live broadcast room is really much more lively and noisy. The quality of a live band is much higher than that of an accompaniment. Having a personal band is also a symbol of a singer's strength and status. Originally, many people were worried that Lu Chen would not focus on movies and TV series in the future, but now this worry has disappeared. Forming a band will certainly not give up music. For a time, the fish balls in the live broadcast room were like rain, and aircraft carriers passed by one after another. Bass player Ouyang He. Keyboardist Wen Yuan. Drummer Yang Xiaoyi. Lu Chen introduced the members of the Nirvana band to everyone one by one. This is the first appearance of the new Nirvana band in the public, and of course, it will not be the last. If there is no accident, this band will accompany his music career. Being cheered by thousands of people, Ouyang He and others showed an excited look. After introducing the Nirvana band, Lu Chen put down his guitar and said, "Now I'll give you a few numbers. Would you please help me shout them out? Thank you." He opened his hands and 10 fingers forward, only his left thumb bent against the palm of his hand. "How many is this?" Many of the audience didn't respond and were stunned, but some fans immediately shouted, 9. Lu Chen smiled, his left hand remained motionless, and he retracted his right hand. At this time, everyone shouted in unison, 4. Then Lu Chen retracted his left hand, raised his right hand again, and stretched out his index and middle fingers. 2. The next moment he retracted his middle finger, raised his right hand high, and pointed his index finger to the sky. 1. Lu Chen nodded and said, "Yes, now please read these 4 numbers together." 9421. The smart people reacted instantly, "I love you." Everyone came to a sudden realization and shouted, "Yes, I love you." Lu Chen said with a smile, "The name of the following new song is I Love You. I hope you like it." As soon as his voice fell, the Nirvana band played the prelude. All the applause, laughter, cheers and shouts quickly subsided, and everyone stared intently at Lu Chen standing on the stage, listening to his new song. Only the fluorescent card was still swaying, drawing a residual light in the crowd. I've always wanted to say to you that you give me unexpected happiness like an oasis to a desert. Say that you will accompany me forever, be my root, my wings, let me fly and have a nest to go back to. I'm willing, I can give everything and I won't regret it. Just be together, watch the passage of time, remember the way we love each other. I love you, there's sadness and happiness, with you there's meaning. I love you, sweet and reassuring, that feeling is you. Note, I love you lyrics, doll/composer, Tao Zhe. Chapter 294. Lu Chen's previous works are mostly folk songs and light rock songs, focusing on nostalgia and hot blood. But he will not finalize his style. This year he will develop towards a wider range of genres. The first choice, Just Love You, which was launched on Valentine's Day, is a typical love song. In pop music, love songs have the largest audience and are one of the most popular types. Over the past few decades, countless classics have been born at home and abroad, and there has never been a decline. Because love is one of the most beautiful emotions of human beings. This song, Just Loving You, has a beautiful melody, the lyrics are catchy, and there are not too many complicated ways of expression. Lu Chen sings it slowly, soothing and affectionate like a lover's whisper, making people who listen to it feel sweet in their hearts. I have always wanted to say to you, you give me unexpected happiness like an oasis to a desert. Say you will always be with me, be my root, my wings, let me fly and have a nest to go back to. I am willing, really willing to give everything to protect you. Oh, together time continues to pass, please remember how much I love you. Oh, love you, never abandon you. Don't care how much wind and rain there are along the way. Just love you, put it in your palm. Give you all the brilliant happiness. Oh, love you, I am willing. Just love you, want us to be together. At this moment, the couples in the People's Square looked and listened, all smiling. They snuggled up to each other, feeling each other's temperature in this cold night, and reminiscing the bits and pieces of love in Lu Chen's singing. Time passes, time is ruthless, or one day in the future feelings will be worn away by time, and lovers will go their separate ways, but I believe that no one will forget the beauty and touching they have experienced in such a night in the crowded crowd. Just love you, want us to be together. This is the best blessing for Valentine's Day. When Lu Chen finished singing Just Love You, affectionately, the whole audience applauded, especially the couples clapped desperately. Lu Chen put down his guitar and bowed with the Nirvana band to thank them. Thank you everyone. May all the lovers in the world get married. The applause became even louder. Suddenly there was a small commotion below the stage. Soon, a little girl in a white gauze dress walked up to Lu Chen with a bouquet of roses in her hand. The little girl was at most 5 or 6 years old. She was as cute as a doll. She tried her best to stand on her tiptoes to present flowers to Lu Chen. Lu Chen was pleasantly surprised. He quickly squatted down and took the flowers. Thank you. May I know your name? He remembered that the ceremony in the evening did not have a flower delivery segment, so it should be an accident. The little girl said in a childish voice, My name is Yaya. Brother Lu Chen, happy Valentine's Day. Lu Chen sighed and said, Brother Lu Chen doesn't have a lover yet. What should I do? The little girl frowned and thought for a while, then said happily, Then I'll give Yaya's sister to you. She's very greedy and always steals my things. The audience roared with laughter. The little girl was too cute. Lu Chen smiled and reached out to hug the little girl, then took her off the stage. Of course, the little girl had a family and it was a big family. She had several sisters. Back in front of the microphone, Lu Chen said with a smile, Thank you, Yaya. Thank you for the flowers and my sister. Everyone couldn't help laughing again. Lu Chen continued, For the second song, I want to invite an audience member to the stage and let her sing with me. I think you should be familiar with this song. It is, Your Eyes. Without waiting for Lu Chen to say the name of the song, the fans under the stage helped him make up for it. Your Eyes was the theme song of Autumn in My Heart. It was a love song sung by Lu Chen and Chen Fei. With the rising ratings of Autumn in My Heart, the song had become a well-known pop song and had become a must-listen for many couples when they went to KTV. Lu Chen nodded and said, Yes, it's Your Eyes. Who would like to sing with me on the stage? As soon as his voice fell, the audience below the stage raised their arms in unison. Many girls even jumped up and shouted excitedly, Me. Lu Chen smiled and said, So many people want to sing? Then I'll choose one. I'll choose you. He pointed to the audience below the stage and said, "It's the audience member in the red down jacket. Thank you." The girl who was pointed out by Lu Chen had a look of surprise on her face. The other fans around her cast envious eyes on her, and at the same time made way for her. "Hello, what's your name?" Lu Chen asked the girl who had just come on the stage in a friendly manner. She was about 20 years old and had a delicate appearance. The girl blushed and said, "My name is Lin Yu. I'm your fan." In the evening she went out to play with her classmates. When she passed by the People's Square and saw the advertisement screen, she knew that Lu Chen was going to perform here, so she stayed to watch the live show. She didn't expect to be chosen by Lu Chen to sing a love song on the stage. "It's just like a dream," Lu Chen said with a smile. "Then let's sing Your Eyes together." The music sounded again. Your Eyes is a work that everyone is familiar with. The difficulty of singing this song is not low, but the performance of the girl named Lin Yu is quite excellent. Apart from being a little flustered at the beginning and not being able to keep up with the rhythm, her singing later is remarkable, and she cooperates quite well with Lu Chen. There are too many tears that don't stop. I love you every step of the hardships of love. The dreams of suffering are especially sincere. After a love song was sung, the audience still responded with warm applause. Thank you, Lin Yu. Lu Chen sent the female fan off the stage, and the staff gave her a beautiful gift. After singing 2 songs, Lu Chen's performance time was over. In the evening, it was the opening ceremony of Senki's flagship store, not his personal music live. There were still many programs behind. So he and Nirvana said goodbye to everyone. At this time the fans at the scene did not agree. No one knew who started it, but everyone shouted together, "Sing one more song." Again. Their shouts quickly formed a huge sound wave, surging in the People's Square, washing away the coldness of the winter night and making people's blood surge. Lu Chen stood on the stage with his guitar in his arms, full of emotion and warmth. Although there was no lover to accompany him, Valentine's Day 2016 is worth commemorating for him. Because so many people like him and need him. Chapter 295. A subway stopped steadily on the platform of Dongyan Station. The passengers crowded in the carriage got off one after another, but the gap they left behind was filled by new passengers in the blink of an eye. Then the subway train rumbled into the dark tunnel. In Beijing, a super metropolis with a population of more than 30 million, the subway system was the first way for people to travel. Every day, countless citizens took the subway to and from work. The latest line had already been extended to the 7th Ring Road, which was still under planning. Lin Yu and her female companions followed the crowd and took the escalator to the exit. She was holding a huge cartoon rabbit in her arms, which made her the focus of many people's attention, but this girl didn't care about the strange gazes of others. Her pretty face was still flushed with excitement. Today was Valentine's Day, February 14th. It was a very special day. Lin Yu did not have a boyfriend, so she wanted to hide in her dormitory and spend this romantic night online. However, she could not resist the encouragement of her female companions, so she went to the city center to go shopping. Now she was extremely grateful to her companions. If not for their persistence, she might not have had the chance to see Lu Chen in person, and she even sang a love song with Lu Chen on stage. Recalling the scene at that time, Lin Yu's heart jumped like a deer. She liked Lu Chen because of the TV series, Autumn in My Heart. Although she was not a fanatic fan among all the celebrities she liked, Lu Chen was firmly in the top 3. Now he was number 1. "Let's go quickly," one of her female companions urged. "The finale of Autumn in My Heart is about to begin." The other 2 female companions could not help but speed up. One of them said, "Xiao Yu's luck is too good. I also raised my hand at that time. Why didn't you choose me?" The female companion in front laughed and said, "With your tone-deaf voice, you will be thrown off the stage if you go up. Well, you actually dare to laugh at me. Take this." The 2 female companions played along the road, and their bell-like laughter spread far and wide on the street. Lin Yu could not help but smile and hugged the cartoon rabbit in her arms even tighter. Lin Yu was from Jiangqing. After finishing college in Beijing, she chose to stay here to work. Currently, she was a clerk in a company. Her 3 female companions were her colleagues, and they lived together in an apartment outside the 5th Ring Road. As an introverted girl, Lin Yu did not have many hobbies. She spent most of her free time on literature, music, and movies, especially watching all kinds of TV series. As an introverted girl, Lin Yu did not have many hobbies. She spent most of her time on literature, music, and movies. For this reason, she used her first month's salary to buy an LCD TV and put it in the small living room of the apartment. She used to watch it alone, but later her female companions were influenced by her and also watched it with her. Everyone watched TV together, laughed and cursed at the plot together, and their relationship became exceptionally good. This experience was that they could only by watching TV could be of their own. And now what the four women liked and pursued the most was Autumn in My Heart, starring Lu Chen. Tonight was the finale of Autumn in My Heart. Then they arrived at the ring of Bye Bye Bye. All of them. Of the same time. By them. The TV was turned on immediately. It's starting. What do you mean it's starting? They're still playing the commercials. We finally made it in time. My feet are sore from running. Who's going to give me a massage? 5 yuan for a massage. Go to hell. Lin Yu sat on the sofa with the big rabbit in her arms. She buried her chin into the soft fur and stared at the TV without blinking, thinking about the ending of the story that was about to be played tonight. Since they chose to broadcast the finale of Bye 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 on Valentine's Day, Hygiene TV deliberately delayed the broadcast of the last episode to 9:30 p.m. to ensure the ratings. Lin Yu and her female companions were not too late. After the 5-minute commercial ended, the familiar opening music played in the small living room. The 20th episode of Bye 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 began. Eunhui often endured the pain in order to spend the remaining time with Juanxi happily. This made Juanxi even sadder. Eunhui began to vomit blood. Her condition worsened day by day. She began to take photos to secretly prepare for her funeral. Eunhui happened to find the medicine that Juanxi had secretly prepared for her in Juanxi's room. She understood Juanxi's thoughts and forced Juanxi to promise not to die for her. Juanxi agreed with tears in his eyes. In the end, the two of them went to the beach where they used to play as children. Eunhui listened to Juanxi's childhood stories. The living room was terrifyingly quiet when they saw this, and the four women all turned pale. Although they knew very well that the ending of Bye 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 was likely to be a tragedy, everyone hoped that there would be a reversal in the end, and the male and female leads would end up happily together. But when the scene of life and death really happened, they all burst into tears. Lin Yu's eyes were misty with tears, and her heart was clenched to the extreme. She tried not to cry out loud as she watched Eunhui stop breathing on Juanxi's back. She watched the latter stagger forward on the beach while carrying the woman he loved all his life. Then she burst into tears. Why did it turn out like this? One of her female companions asked in a low voice, constantly wiping the tears from the corners of her eyes with a tissue. Lin Yu also wanted to ask this question. She felt that Lu Chen was too cruel. Why did the two of them have to be separated by death in the end? Why couldn't two people who truly loved each other be together? The story in the television wasn't over yet. Eunhui quietly lived out her life. After settling the funeral matters, Juanxi entrusted Taehi to scatter Eunhui's ashes into the sea, and he went alone to the country road that he had walked with Eunhui when he was young. The scenes of his childhood games with Eunhui flashed before his eyes. A loading and unloading truck sped along the road. When Juanxi was about to rush to the front of the truck, he remembered his promise to Eunhui and continued to live bravely. So Lu Chen made some changes to it. Many times, it also required great courage to live. The story ended here, and the theme song Your Eyes played, drawing a sad end to the TV series. After watching it, Lin Yu and her companions were speechless for a long time. Lin Yu returned to her room, but she didn't feel sleepy at all. She couldn't help but turn on her computer and log on to the internet. The internet was in an uproar. As the winner of the domestic TV series ratings at the end of 2015 and the beginning of 2016, of Bye 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 Bye, already had a large number of fans. The TV drama-related blogs, Tieba, and forums were all places for these fans to discuss the plot and the characters in the TV series. When the finale of Bye 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 was broadcasted, these places seemed to have been carpet-bombed by a heavy bomb. It was simply a scene of mourning. Is it really good to see such a sad ending on Valentine's Day? My eyes are swollen from crying. When I watched it in my room, my mom thought that something had happened to me. Don't mention it. I'll be depressed for at least a week or two. I strongly protest. Give me back my Eunhui. Although I already knew the ending and it wasn't unexpected, I still feel very sad. I'm a man and I also cried watching it. I cried watching it +1. On Waves's blog, Lu Chen's blog was about to explode. It was rare for him to be scolded by so many people. It was too cruel, too heart-wrenching. Even many artists in the entertainment industry also posted on their blogs, saying that they were depressed by the ending of the TV series. Whether they were really fans of the series or just riding on the limelight, it was enough to show the influence that of Bye 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 had currently had in and out of the industry. Now that the TV series had finally come to an end, it might be a great thing for the competitors, but for the thousands of viewers, there were really too many nostalgia and regrets. At 11 o'clock in the evening, Lu Qin received a call from Chen Fei. "You have to compensate me." On the phone, Chen Fei's voice was slightly hoarse, and it had lost its heavenly sweetness. Lu Qin was stunned. "Compensate for what?" Chen Fei said, "I watched the finale and shed a lot of tears. Made me so sad. Don't you want to compensate me?" Lu Qin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Haven't you already seen it?" Other than himself, Chen Fei was the first to know the ending. Moreover, after filming she had also seen the original unedited film, so she didn't feel much sadness at that time. Moreover, she was the heroine herself. "After watching it tonight, the feeling is really different. It's as if I really experienced this tragedy," Chen Fei softly narrated her sadness on the phone. Lu Qin was a little amused and very touched. "Then I'll come over to accompany you now." "No need." After pouring out her heart, Chen Fei's mood seemed to be a lot better. "It's late, you should rest early." Lu Chen's heart moved and he said, "After 10 minutes you can read my blog." Chen Fei was surprised. "What do you want to say?" Lu Chen smiled. "You'll know in 10 minutes. Pretending to be mysterious. Chen Fei said coquettishly, "Then I'll wait for 10 minutes and see what tricks you play." After ending the call with Chen Fei, Lu Chen turned on the computer and logged into his Waves blog account. He quickly browsed the comment section of the latest blog post and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Hygiene Satellite TV chose to broadcast the finale of Autumn in My Heart today. They had earned enough ratings and topics, but they had pushed themselves into the fire pit. After thinking about it, Lu Chen clicked on the blog post edit page and typed 9 words in the title column. The furthest distance in the world. Chapter 296. The furthest distance in the world is not the distance between life and death. It's that I'm standing in front of you, but you don't know that I love you. The furthest distance in the world is not that I'm standing in front of you, but you don't know that I love you. It's that I'm obsessed with you but I can't say that I love you. The furthest distance in the world is not that I can't say that I love you. It's that I want you to feel heart-wrenching pain, but you can only bury it deep in your heart. The furthest distance in the world is not that I can't say that I miss you. It's that we love each other but we can't be together. The furthest distance in the world is not that we love each other, but we can't be together. It's that we clearly love each other but we pretend that we don't care. The furthest distance in the world is the distance between a bird and a fish. One soars in the sky, the other dives deep into the sea. February 14, 2016, Valentine's Day, 11:17 p.m. Lu Chen wrote a poem on his blog. The poem was called, "The Furthest Distance in the World." At the end of this blog post he wrote, "I dedicate this poem to all the fans of Autumn in My Heart. I wish all the lovers in the world can be together, and true love will not be separated by distance." Due to the finale of Autumn in My Heart, Lu Chen's blog became the focus of countless people that night. Therefore, when he posted this poem blog post, it immediately attracted a lot of clicks, comments, and forwards. To this day, no one could doubt Lu Chen's talent in music. Not only did he sing, but he also composed and wrote lyrics. All of his works were written by himself, and he never lent them to others. Autumn in My Heart has let everyone see his strength in literary creation and performance. As a rising star in the circle, Lu Chen's rise in popularity is really convincing. Tian, romance in my heart, but critics will always exist whether they are jealous or have ulterior motives. There is no shortage of voices criticizing Lu Chen on blogs, and the main firepower hit his serialized novel Autumn in My Heart. Tian, romance in my heart, what melodramatic, hypocritical, deliberately sensational. There were so-called literati who disdained Lu Chen's novels. Lu Chen never responded to these voices of doubt and criticism. If he remained unknown, then no one would criticize him at all. Since he had stepped into the entertainment industry, wanting to be liked by everyone was undoubtedly a fool's dream. He did his own things seriously and worked hard to manage his own business. This, The Furthest Distance in the World, was Lu Chen's first real poem. In his dream world there were many stories to this poem. The original creator had many different opinions, and then after it was spread on the internet, it derived many versions, becoming a classic that countless people were familiar with. Lu Chen used this song to complete the final promotion of Autumn in My Heart. It was a remembrance and a memorial. There was a distance in the world that was even more distant than life and death. It was not a distance that spanned the past and the present in time, nor was it a distance that encompassed the universe in space. Instead, it was a distance that was the hardest to cross, the distance between hearts. Life and death was a distance that could never be merged. Although they were close at hand, they were like strangers. This was the distance between the heart of an unrequited lover and the person he loved. Loved but could not get along. Lovers could not get married. This was an eternal regret. The distance between lovers, obviously in love but pretending not to care, was contradictory and painful. It was a distance that defied the sincerity. Even further than this was the indifference of the heart. It was the contempt for love. In the face of the person who loved you, you resolutely dug a ditch that could not be crossed, and rejected love far away from the furthest distance in the world. Distance could produce beauty, but the furthest distance in the world was painful. Lu Chen wanted this TV series and this poem to let people understand how precious and rare it was to be able to be together and love each other. Cherish what you have so that you would not regret after losing it. He wanted this Valentine's Day to have a different meaning because of his existence. The reputation of a good poem needed time to ferment. But for the fans, especially the true fans, this, the furthest distance in the world, had undoubtedly given them the most special feeling. It had instantly struck them in the heart. Especially after they just watched the finale of Autumn in My Heart. The feeling was especially deep. The furthest distance in the world is when I am standing in front of you, but you do not know that I love you. Xiaolan, I love you. I really want to cry. Big Lu Chen, you are so bad. Why did you do this? This is the saddest Valentine's Day I have ever had. I think the meaning of this poem is to let us cherish the people around us, and understand that true love is hard to find. Good poem doesn't need to explain. Many fans left comments under Lu Chen's poem. The number of comments, likes, and forwards kept rising. Some bloggers who did not listen to Lu Chen's songs and had not seen Autumn in My Heart, had deep feelings when they saw The Furthest Distance in the World forwarded by others. In today's era, poets were a very different existence, even the object of ridicule. Especially modern poetry in the eyes of many people, was a particularly niche and boring thing. It belonged to the self-entertainment of a small group of literati. So much so that some people said that as long as you knew how to hit enter, you could write poetry. The era of poetry had long gone. A great variety of entertainment filled the lives of modern people. Their spiritual needs no longer needed to be satisfied through poetry. And really good poetry, poetry that could touch people's hearts, was also on the verge of extinction. Lu Chen's The Furthest Distance in the World was undoubtedly able to make people's eyes light up. It was meaningful and profound. For those who understood poetry, it was simply deafening. However, good poetry was a necessity. So other than Lu Chen's fans, other people's evaluation was still brewing. But the influence had already been produced, and it was spreading at an alarming speed. After posting this poem blog post, Lu Chen did not continue to pay attention to his blog. He turned off his computer and cooked some supper to appease his hunger. Then he went to the bathroom to take a hot shower. Valentine's Day 2016, just like that. Just as he was about to lie in bed to rest, there was a sudden knock on his door. Who could it be so late? Lu Chen did not think about it and went straight to open the door. The next moment, a delicate figure suddenly jumped into his arms. A familiar fragrance rushed into his nose. Lu Chen instinctively hugged this uninvited guest, only to hear an intoxicating whisper in his ear. I love you. Hearing this voice, Lu Chen felt as if he had the whole world in his hands. There was nothing else to ask for. Note: the original creator of The Furthest Distance in the World is said to be Tagore and Zhang Shaoxian. The latter has published works as proof, and there is also Cheng Dongwu's adaptation. This article chose one of the versions. Chapter 297. Early morning. The stubborn biological clock made Lu Chen wake up from his sleep on time. He had a good night's dream. When he woke up from the dream, the feeling was very different from usual. A fragrant and graceful female body was quietly curled up in his arms, snuggling tightly against each other in the warm blanket. This ecstasy made Lu Chen's desire stir again. The beauty in his arms felt the pressure from him. She turned her head and opened her eyes with a soft moan. Good morning, Lu Chen greeted his girlfriend with a smile. Unlike many female artists who had to carefully make up before they could meet people, the singer in Lu Chen's arms was a real natural beauty. She was still bright and charming even without any makeup. Unlike many female artists who have to carefully make up before they can see people, the heavenly queen of the singing world, who is curled up in Lu Chen's arms, is a real natural beauty. She is still bright and moving without any makeup. Lu Chen's self-control was getting worse and worse. Taking advantage of the fact that she was not fully awake, He directly pressed her under his body and took liberties with her. Chen Fei passionately catered to him, making the atmosphere in the bedroom more and more charming. But at the most critical time, Lu Chen suddenly stopped moving. Chen Fei giggled and kissed him on the cheek in a comforting way. She said, "In the future, there will be a chance." Last night, when she saw Lu Chen's "The Furthest Distance in the World" on his blog, she was instantly moved by this poem. Unable to suppress the fire of passion in her heart, she ran to Lu Chen's rented apartment. Everything should have happened naturally, but Chen Fei happened to come to visit her relatives. As a result, Lu Chen was in a dilemma. Later it was Chen Fei who used a little trick to help him solve it. Lu Chen kissed her hard and sat up with great willpower. "Do you want me to send you back?" Last night, it was Xian who sent Chen Fei over. After sending him to the destination, Chen Fei asked his bodyguards to go back first. For the first time he stayed in Lu Chen's single apartment. Chen Fei shook his head and said, "I told Xian that she will pick me up here afternoon." That meant they had to stay here for another half a day. Lu Chen was overjoyed. "Then I'll go buy breakfast." For a celebrity like Chen Fei, it was not easy for him to spend half a day with him, especially since it was still the first month of the lunar calendar. It was supposed to be the busiest time of the year, with all kinds of endorsements flying around. Chen Fei hugged him and asked, "Do you have any ingredients here?" "Just make enough for breakfast." Lu Chen nodded and said, "There are some in the kitchen and the refrigerator." He rented this single apartment. His sister, Lu Shi, would come over to help him clean up the house and fill the refrigerator with some ingredients so that he could make some food for himself. "That's all right. I'll make breakfast." Chen Fei smiled and said, "Go out and exercise. Don't delay it because of me. You can come back in time for breakfast." She knew that Lu Chen insisted on practicing martial arts every day, so his body was so good. This good habit must be maintained. Lu Chen had nothing to say. His heart was full of sweetness. He kissed Chen Fei goodbye and ran out to do morning exercises. By the time he came back from a run outside, Chen Fei had already prepared breakfast. A pot of fragrant white rice porridge with plump golden fried dumplings, accompanied by refreshing pickled vegetables and spicy fermented bean curd, was placed on the table, which made Lu Chen's appetite whet. "I'm back," he shouted and impatiently picked up a fried dumpling with his hand, stuffed it into his mouth and chewed it. He didn't expect that frozen dumplings could be so delicious. What was even more unexpected was that Chen Fei could cook, and her cooking skills seemed to be quite good. Virtuous. Lu Chen was beaming with joy as he ate. Chen Fei poked her head out of the kitchen and saw Lu Chen secretly eating the fried dumplings. She immediately said angrily, "Why are you holding it with your hands? It's so dirty. Go wash your hands and eat after washing." Lu Chen swallowed the dumpling in his mouth and squeezed into the small kitchen. He hugged Chen Fei's slender waist. The heavenly queen found an apron from somewhere and put it on. She tied up her long hair and held a kitchen spatula in her hand. She looked like a housewife, which made Lu Chen's heart burn. This was the real way to live. He lowered his head and rested his chin on Chen Fei's shoulder. He greedily inhaled the fragrance of the latter's body. His heart was happy and peaceful. He only wished that time would freeze at this moment forever. Unfortunately, Chen Fei did not cooperate. She stepped on his foot with her heel and said, "Stop it. The fried eggs are burnt." Lu Chen smiled and reluctantly let go of the beauty and washed his hands in the sink. When he sat back at the dining table, Chen Fei brought out the fried eggs. This breakfast was very heartwarming. However, Chen Fei had some objections. "This house is too small. The kitchen can't even turn around. You should change to a bigger house. Buy one in Beijing." Lu Chen smiled and said, "Do you have any good recommendations?" He was currently renting a single apartment. The kitchen and bathroom were complete, but the area was very compact. The advantage was that it was very close to the studio and it was very convenient to go to work. However, the current Lu Chen was not the same as before. He was getting more and more famous. It was really not suitable to continue living here. Even Lu Shi had mentioned this matter to him. Therefore, even if Chen Fei did not mention it, buying a house was also in Lu Chen's plan. More than half a year ago, Lu Chen, who was still working at Forget Worries Bar, did not even dare to dream of such a thing. The housing prices in Beijing had been rising particularly fiercely in recent years. The houses outside the Fifth Ring Road were priced at 20,000 to 30,000 per square meter. The houses in the high-end residential areas in the city center were often more than 100,000. It was simply not something that ordinary people could afford. Even now, if it was not for the popularity of Autumn in My Heart, which could make a lot of profits from this IP, Lu Qin, who had just paid off his family's debt and redeemed his villa, would not be able to take out the money to buy a property in Beijing. It was really too expensive. Of course, what he wanted to buy must be a good house. You're right to ask me. Chen Feier proudly raised her chin and said, I have a property in Zicheng Yuan, 300 square meters, 5 bedrooms, 2 living rooms and 3 bathrooms. This lady can sell it to you at a lower price. Zicheng Yuan? Lu Qin was stunned and asked, Your house? Where is it located? Zicheng Yuan was located in a high-end residential area near the Second Ring Road in Beijing. It was opened for sale in 2007 and was handed over in 2009. Its developer was the famous Capital Bandung. Chen Feier's house was booked in 2007. The 17 to 18 floors were very good. However, after buying it, she had never lived in it or rented it out to others. It was just left there waiting for its value to increase. When she left her agency and set up her own studio, most of the money she earned was used to invest in apartments and shops. This house in Zicheng Yuan was one of the properties under her name. In the circle, Chen Feier was famous for her love of buying properties. There were even developers who took the initiative to promote their properties to her, using her fame to promote their properties. This kind of single investment method also made her assets multiply several times in a few years. She could be called a real rich woman. In 2007, I bought this house with fine decoration for only 6 million yuan. Chen Feier said proudly, now it can be sold for at least 30 million yuan. Lu Qin only had one big word, you're amazing but I can't afford it. Chen Feier laughed and said, if you can't afford it, just owe it first. Anyway, you're going to buy a house. It's better for me to take advantage of it than others. I allow you to pay it back slowly. One day you'll be able to pay it back. Lu Qin laughed and said, can I pay it back with my body? Yes. Chen Feier was not afraid of his teasing. She decided on the spot and said, let's sign a contract first. In the future you'll work for me alone. I'll take care of your food and accommodation. I'll also give you 100 yuan a day as pocket money. How about it? Lu Qin sighed and said, the conditions are really good. I'm tempted just thinking about it. But isn't 100 yuan too much? Chen Feier couldn't help but laugh and rolled her eyes at him coquettishly. The two sweetly and affectionately finished breakfast. It was already past 9 in the morning. Lu Qin called his sister and then turned off his phone. He didn't care about his career and work. He and Chen Feier enjoyed the rare time together in the apartment. They sat on the sofa and said endless words of love. At noon, Lu Qin turned on the computer and logged into the official website of New Vision. Last night, the last episode of Autumn in My Heart was broadcast on Hygiene Satellite TV. He and Chen Feier wanted to see how the episode's ratings were. The ratings on the home page of New Vision's official website were updated at 12 o'clock sharp. Autumn in My Heart, 3.4%. It broke 3%. Although they had predicted it long ago and had some expectations in their hearts, when the ratings for the finale of Autumn in My Heart came out, both of them felt extremely happy. If they remembered correctly, the ratings for domestic TV dramas had never exceeded 3% in recent years. Autumn in My Heart had undoubtedly created a miracle. Medium to small-scale investment plus new cast plus second or third-rate production company plus non-mainstream theme. A super phenomenal ratings. If this wasn't a miracle, what else was? Chen Feier couldn't help but kiss Lu Qin's face. That's great. This ratings record not only represented honor and fame but also real benefits. Lu Qin Studio, Chen Feier Studio, and Chinda Brothers Pictures had signed a VM agreement with Hygiene Satellite TV. As long as the average domestic ratings for Autumn in My Heart exceeded 0.25% for every 0.10% increase, the buyout price for one episode would be increased by 100,000 yuan. Now that the average ratings for 20 episodes were over 2%, Hygiene Satellite TV would have to pay 30 to 40 million yuan more. With this result as a foundation, it would be easy for Lu Qin's next TV series to double its income. Those who wanted to invest in it would definitely break through the threshold. Chen Feier beamed. Go to the blog and take a look. Lu Qin logged into Waves's blog and saw that Hygiene Satellite TV had posted a blog post celebrating the successful ending of Autumn in My Heart, and the ratings breaking 3%. They also tagged himself and Chen Feier at the same time. Chapter 298. The ratings of the finale of Autumn in My Heart broke 3%. The most excited and the most disappointed were Hygiene Satellite TV. The reason for their excitement was naturally needless to say. With the help of this low-budget 20-episode urban romance drama, Hygiene Satellite TV, which was originally just playing a supporting role, finally shook its peers and shined for 2 months. Even if they had to pay the bonus of the VM agreement, they still made a lot of money. The disappointment was naturally that after the broadcast of Autumn in My Heart, Hygiene Satellite TV would return to its original trajectory. A variety show without strength and a lack of competitive episodes, the original Hygiene Satellite TV was not as good as the second and third channels of Beijing television station, which made them lose face. Now that they had finally managed to hold on to this cash cow, how could Hygiene Satellite TV let it go so easily? Autumn in My Heart was over, but the creator and the lead actor were still there. If they didn't seize it, when would they? Therefore, in this celebratory blog post, Hygiene Satellite TV vigorously praised and even flattered Lu Qin, and incidentally included Qin Fei. Qin Fei couldn't stop laughing. At the same time, Beijing Television and Zhidong Satellite TV jumped out, unwilling to be left out. The official V of the two TV stations announced at the same time that they would replay Autumn in My Heart this week. The replay rights of Autumn in My Heart had long been sold, shared by Beijing Television and Zhidong Satellite TV. Seeing Hygiene Satellite TV eating a big piece of meat, they couldn't bear it anymore. A phenomenal TV series, the ratings of the replay would certainly not be low. Moreover, Autumn in My Heart did not have much publicity in the early stage, and the ratings of the first few episodes were not high, so there must be a large number of viewers and fans who want to watch it again. Beijing Television and Zhidong Satellite TV naturally wanted to strike while the iron was hot. Lu Qin had little interest in the hype of these satellite TV stations. He went back to his blog and looked at the comment area of the blog post, the furthest distance in the world. After a period of fermentation, the furthest distance in the world has been on the hot search list on the homepage of Wave's blog and became a hot topic of discussion today. There were more than 1 million related comments, and the number of transfers was hundreds of thousands. It was really hot. In many comments, most netizens appreciated and praised the song written by Lu Qin, which could be seen from the number of likes. However, there was no lack of criticism or even questioning voices, and many of them were from V.S. These people, Qin Fei, who was standing beside Lu Qin, was very angry when he saw these comments. You only know how to make sarcastic remarks. If you have the ability, write a good poem for everyone to judge. She had been in the industry for more than 10 years and had long been accustomed to the ups and downs of public opinion. Whether it was praise or criticism, she could take it calmly. However, when it came to Lu Qin, she couldn't bear it. She just can't bear to see others doing well. Lu Qin couldn't help but laugh. He truly felt Qin Fei's concern for him. After some thought, he clicked on the blog post edit page and prepared to post a new blog post. Qin Fei thought that he was going to fight back against the critics, so he said, "Ignore these people. The more you fight back, the happier they will be. They are just using you to create hype." This kind of trick was an old trick in the entertainment industry, and it was even more common in the blogosphere. If Lu Qin followed suit, he would be at a disadvantage. Lu Qin shook his head and said, "It has nothing to do with them. I'm going to make a statement and announce one thing." He had thought about it for a long time, and now it was time to announce it. Through the Waves blog, Lu Qin announced his important decision to everyone. He would donate 10 million from the proceeds of Autumn in My Heart to register a charity fund, which would be used to help patients with leukemia who had no financial means to treat it. This idea came into being when he was writing Autumn in My Heart, but the conditions were not ripe at that time. Now was the right time, and he also had the ability to complete this idea. As soon as this blog post was posted, it immediately received a lot of enthusiastic responses. Strongly support. Good people will be rewarded. Support Lu Qin big. The entertainment industry needs positive energy. Please allow me to say, well done. Do you accept donations? I am willing to donate a month's salary. It's really touching. If all stars can be like Lu Qin, then the world will become a better place. I can donate all my New Year's money. Touched. At this time, all the voices of doubt and criticism disappeared without a trace. It was not news for stars to do charity, but it was really rare for Lu Qin to take out 10 million to set up a special fund. No one doubted the kindness and sincerity of Lu Qin, because he made a public statement on the Waves blog. Thousands of people could be witnesses. If he broke his promise, it would be equivalent to destroying his own future. Seeing Lu Qin's statement, Qin Fei was stunned at first. Then she grabbed the laptop from Lu Qin's hand, logged out of the latter's account and logged into her own. Just a few minutes after Lu Qin's statement was released, Qin Fei followed suit with a similar blog post. She announced that she would also donate 10 million and inject it into this special charity fund. A charity project that had not yet been registered and did not even have an official name, had its total capital doubled to 20 million in the blink of an eye. It immediately caused a sensation on the Waves blog. In fact, 20 million was really nothing in charity. The scale of such a fund was really very small, and it could not be compared with those foundations that easily had hundreds of millions or billions. However, the identities of the founders and donors were very unusual, and their influence was magnified exponentially. They really are the best couple in the entertainment industry. Support Chin Fei, support our Eun Hui. Yeah, Juanxi and Eun Hui. Haha, is this considered a husband and wife following each other? I like it. Don't say anything else. Just because of this, I announce that I will be a fan from now on. Oh, they really are a couple. Do you think the scandal between Lu Chen and Chin Fei is true? Whether it's true or not, those who do good deeds are good people. Lu Chen and Chin Fei had more than 30 million fans on the Waves blog. Although there were definitely a large number of overlaps, it was still a very terrifying number. The blog post of the two was reposted everywhere, and it received countless support and praise. As a result, in just half an hour, many celebrities and artists in the industry followed suit and said that they would also donate money to join this charity project. The amount of donations ranged from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. Among them were Lu Chen and Chin Fei's mutual friends Tan Hong, Liao Jia, sister Li Tian. Originally, it was just Lu Chen's personal idea and decision, but now it seemed to have the momentum of the entertainment industry participating together. This was something that Lu Chen himself did not expect. This time it was too big. Chapter 299. The entertainment industry was a large circle that accommodated countless people of all kinds. However, the people in this circle were often inextricably linked to each other. Completely independent individuals did not exist at all. Some people praised, some people criticized, some people praised, and some people scolded. It was bizarre and complicated. The only belief was profit. Lu Chen launched a leukemia charity fund on Waves blog. Chin Fei's support for him went without saying. Tan Hong, Liao Jia, sister Li, and others were friends. It was normal for friends in the circle to support each other. However, those who knew or didn't know each other took the initiative to join, and most of them had ulterior motives. But no matter what their motives were, as the saying goes, everyone adds firewood, the momentum on the internet suddenly soared. Lu Chen really didn't expect to play so big. He quickly posted a new blog post on his blog, expressing his gratitude to all the supporters, saying that he would complete the registration of the foundation as soon as possible. According to domestic laws and regulations, individuals and private individuals could not carry out charity fundraising activities, and the approval and registration of a charity foundation was very strict. It required very high qualifications to be approved. However, since Lu Chen had made a decision, his will would not waver. In addition to his own efforts, the status, fame, and money he had today mainly came from the memories in the dream world. Lu Chen had never thought of squandering this rich wealth of memories to spend his life. He was grateful for the gift and was willing to benefit many people in need of help. Establishing a charity foundation was Lu Chen's first step. How far a person could go depended on how broad his mind was. Chin Fei asked, "Who are you going to let manage this foundation?" The manager is very important. There were many charity foundations in China, and there had always been the problem of good and bad. Some foundations had a bad reputation because of the chaotic management and became a tool to accumulate money. For a star artist like Lu Chen, he certainly did not have the time and energy to manage a charity foundation, but the reputation and credibility of the foundation were closely related to his reputation. If there were management problems or other scandals, it would have a great impact on Lu Chen. Therefore, the manager of the foundation was very important. Lu Chen scratched his head. Sister. The people he trusted the most were, of course, his family members. He could rest assured if Lu Shi was in charge. Chin Fei smiled and said, "Sister Lu Shi doesn't have 3 heads and 6 arms. Do you think she can handle so many things?" Lu Chen seemed to have seen himself being sprayed with dog blood by his sister. As he became more and more famous, Lu Shi, as the manager and agent of Lu Chen's studio, became busier and busier. In the past, he said that he would let her realize her dream of getting a master's degree in the capital, but now she didn't even have time to review her lessons. Study for further studies? If the heavy burden of the charity foundation was placed on them, Lu Chen wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. "Do you have any good suggestions or candidates to recommend?" Chin Fei said, "If you want me to recommend someone, I will recommend Sister Li. There is no other suitable candidate." Sister Li? Lu Chen's eyes suddenly lit up. Will she be willing? Sister Li was well known in the circle and she was willing to do charity. She had just said on her blog that she would donate 500,000 yuan to Lu Chen's charity project. The most important thing was that she was smart and capable, and she had a wide range of contacts both inside and outside the circle. This was very important. In contrast, Lu Shi was really far behind. If Sister Li came to the foundation, then Lu Chen really had nothing to worry about. The problem was that Sister Li had her own career. Her agency had always been doing well and she was usually very busy. Qin Fei smiled and said, "Let me ask first. It shouldn't be a big problem." Lu Chen couldn't help but hold her in his arms and praised, "If it weren't for you, what would I do?" The mushy words of love, which could give others goosebumps, made Qin Fei's pretty face faintly bashful. She coquettishly rolled her eyes at Lu Chen and said, "Glib tongue. I have to go back. Xian sent me a message." Lu Chen looked at the time and said, "Oh, let's go for lunch together." It was already 1 o'clock. Qin Fei said, "It's too late. I have a job in the afternoon. You go eat by yourself." She kissed Lu Chen comfortingly and said, "Xian is downstairs. You don't need to send me." Wonderful time always passed too fast. Lu Chen had no choice but to send Qin Fei out of the door with a mask and sunglasses. He thought that he should buy a new house. It was really inconvenient to continue to live here. After Qin Fei left, Lu Chen didn't stay in the apartment for long. He casually ate something and rushed to the studio. However, as soon as he arrived at the studio, he was called to the room by his sister and scolded. The phones of Lu Shi in the studio were blown up. There were some important things that needed Lu Chen's approval. However, his phone was turned off. If Lu Chen hadn't contacted him in the morning, he would have thought that he had disappeared. "And you didn't discuss such a big thing as setting up a charity foundation with me first?" Lu Shi said angrily. "I don't have the energy or ability to help you." Lu Chen explained, "I have discussed this matter with Fei and she recommended Sister Li to me." Lu Shi was stunned and suddenly said, "You were with Fei this morning, weren't you? No wonder you turned off your phone." She said sourly, "Now you really have a wife and forget your sister." Lu Chen smiled bitterly. Life was already so difficult. Why did he have to expose some things? Lu Shi didn't want to talk to him anymore. "The latest work and business are on my computer. You deal with it yourself. I'm going to the hospital now." Lu Chen was stunned. "What are you going to the hospital for?" Lu Shi said, "I'm going to visit Manager Wang. You brought his studio here. You have to visit him, right? You don't have to go. I'll go as a representative to express my condolences." Lu Chen couldn't help blushing. All the members of Nirvana Studios were now recruited by him. He had known that Wang Changxing was hospitalized for a long time, but he had been too busy these 2 days and didn't think of visiting the hospital. His sister was so careful. Although it was a small matter, she could take care of the feelings of Wang Jing and Wang Hui. Seeing that Lu Shi was about to leave, Lu Chen hurriedly said, "Sister?" Lu Shi stopped at the door of the room and turned her head. "What's wrong?" Lu Chen said sincerely, "Thank you." Lu Shi snorted, but her eyes became much softer. After his sister left, Lu Chen sat in her seat and opened the work documents on the computer. First was the publication of the novel version of Autumn in My Heart. Because the ratings of this TV series had set a record in recent years, coupled with the serialized updates on Lu Chen's blog some time ago, the novel version was very popular. There were more than a dozen publishing houses contacted by phone or directly sent people to seek cooperation, among which the most powerful were Shanghai Publishing House, Group News Publishing House and Beijing Publishing House. So far, the private Shanghai Publishing House offered the most attractive conditions, 15% royalties and a minimum guarantee of 500,000. The royalties of domestic writers were usually between 8% and 12%, and newcomers were even as low as 5%. A novel priced at 20 yuan with 150,000 words could only earn 1 yuan, and the first printing would only be 10,000 to 20,000 copies. In the field of literary publishing, Lu Chen was definitely a newcomer. He had never published any works before. But the influence of Autumn in My Heart made it impossible for any publishing house to treat him as a newcomer. But even so, the price offered by Shanghai Publishing House was far beyond the normal range. 15% royalties was the treatment of a top famous writer, and the guaranteed print run of 500,000 was even more expensive. As long as Lu Chen signed the contract, the 1.5 million remuneration would immediately be transferred to the studio's account. If more copies were sold later, the royalty share would be further increased. And such conditions were something that the state-owned Group News Publishing House and Beijing Publishing House could not offer. Therefore, Lu Shi's suggestion was to sign with Shanghai Publishing House. Lu Chen had no objection to this. He would sell to whoever paid more. There was nothing to hesitate about. In addition, the copyright of the comic book, Autumn in My Heart, also had some progress. The final offer given by the Color Impression Comics publishing house was $1.2 million. Lu Chen also gave his approval. Then there was a clothing company that hoped to obtain the brand license for Autumn in My Heart, and 2 film and television companies wanted to cooperate with the studio to adapt the movie. Lu Chen glanced down. There were more than 10 pieces of content related to the IP copyright of Autumn in My Heart. If all of them were licensed out, it could at least bring an additional profit of nearly $10 million to the studio. This made Lu Chen sigh at the power of IP. The value of a popular IP was really immeasurable. And the entire copyright of Autumn in My Heart had always been firmly in the hands of Lu Chen. Chen Fei-er and Chenda Pictures only got a share of the profits from the TV series. Lu Chen had a feeling that his hands were cramping from counting money. But then he thought about how Chen Fei-er's house cost $30 million, and he felt that he was not much different from the poor. It was not even enough to buy a house. Tuck, tuck. As he was thinking about the money problem, someone knocked on the door. Lu Chen coughed and said, "Please come in." It was Wang Hui who came to find Lu Chen. He asked a little awkwardly, "Brother Lu Chen, I want to ask, when are we going to build the recording studio?" Lu Chen was surprised. "Didn't I ask you to work out the budget first? You can choose the $5 million. Wang Hui asked with a bitter face, "But where are we going to build the recording studio? This place is too small." Lu Chen thought about it and realized that it was really a problem. Originally, when he rented the studio, he had never considered building a recording studio. Now that Nirvana Studios had merged, the scale was going to expand big, and the current place was really too small. If he wanted to make the studio bigger and stronger, it was imperative to move. The area of the new place had to be at least 3 or 4 times larger, which would require a high investment. Lu Chen was already seriously considering selling himself to Chen Fei-er. Chapter 300. Rome wasn't built in a day, and the recording studio wasn't built in a day either. There was no need to mention moving the studio. Although Beijing was very big, it wasn't easy to find a suitable place. Of course, Lu Chen still patted his chest and assured Wang Hui, telling him to choose the equipment first. Actually, for Lu Chen, the most important thing at the moment was neither selling the copyright of Autumn in My Heart, nor moving the studio, nor setting up a charity foundation. It was the Asian Chinese Music Chart Award ceremony that would be held on February 18th. The Asian Chinese Music Chart was created by CCTV and CCTV in conjunction with the major TV and radio stations in the country. It had been held for 15 years so far, and it was one of the most influential and authoritative pop music awards in the country. Most importantly, it could be confirmed that this year's Asian Chinese Music Chart would be the last one. It would merge with the China Original Music Chart and be upgraded to the Global Chinese Music Chart. At that time, the brand new Global Chinese Original Songs Chart will become the premier pop music festival in China, easily crushing Xiangnan Satellite TV's Chinese Music Chart, and becoming the wind benchmark of the pop music world. As for the last Asian Chinese Music Chart, it had also received a lot of attention from both inside and outside the industry. A large number of well-known singers, artists, musicians, and people in related industries had been invited. The list of guests printed out was estimated to be a few meters long. Lu Chen was also among the invited guests, and he had also received 4 important nominations for Best Newcomer, Best Composition, Best Lyrics, and Best Album. Best Newcomer, nominated. Best Composition, I Love You China, nominated. Best Lyrics, I Love You China, nominated. Best Album, You Who Sat Next to Me, nominated. The panel of judges for the Asian Chinese Music Chart was made up of professionals. There were members of the Music Association, well-known seniors in the circle, professors of music academies, famous music critics, and so on. The total number of members was more than 100. There was no audience voting that could be easily cheated, and the organizer was an authoritative organization. Therefore, the Asian Chinese Top Songs Chart was very valuable, and the list of nominees for the 21 awards was also very eye-catching. Lu Chen was able to win these 4 important nominations, and his position in the circle immediately improved. The adverse impact of his lack of revenue in the selection of Xiangnan Satellite TV's Chinese Music Chart was instantly eliminated, and in turn he slapped the latter in the face. However, Chen Fei-er had analyzed for Lu Chen that he was most likely to win the Best New Artist Award and the least likely to win the Best Album Award. As for the Best Composition and Lyrics Award, the phenomenon of seniority in the Asian Chinese Top Songs Chart had always existed. Lu Chen was still too young. In this regard, Lu Chen was not angry. His middle school years had long passed. He knew that there was no real fairness in the world. The members of the panel of judges of the Asian Chinese music chart were not robots. As long as it was a person of flesh and blood, they would always have their own selfish thoughts and perceptions. Lu Qin was satisfied to win the Best New Artist award. After dealing with the backlog of work, he called Li Mubai and asked where the other party was. Li Mubai was actually upstairs in Mukin's company. This surprised Lu Qin because according to custom, most private companies officially started work on the 8th day of the first lunar month. Li Mubai actually appeared in the company on the first day of work. He was simply diligent. Without asking much, Lu Qin ran straight upstairs to find third young master Li. After selling most of Mukin crowdfunding shares to Li Mushi, he rarely appeared in Mukin's company and basically did not participate in the company's business affairs. He was an invisible founding shareholder. He hadn't seen Li Mubai for some time. "Oh, no wonder I heard the magpies singing on the branches in the morning." As soon as he saw Lu Qin, Li Mubai said in a mocking tone, "Sure enough, there's a happy event. A big star has graced my small place with his presence." He hadn't seen him for a while, and the young master hadn't changed much. Lu Qin sat down opposite him and said with a smile, "Don't talk nonsense. I have something important to talk to you about." Li Mubai smiled, sat up straight and asked, "What's the matter?" Lu Qin said straightforwardly, "I want to register a charity foundation and ask you for help." In the early years, there were quite a lot of domestic charity foundations or similar organizations, and many things happened which caused considerable negative impact. Therefore, the relevant government departments strengthened management, especially in the approval link, and the application process was also very long. Therefore, after Lu Qin made up his mind, the first person he thought of to ask for help was Li Mubai. As the saying goes, having someone in the court makes things easier. If the Li family came forward, things would become much simpler. Lu Qin didn't have mental and moral misophobia, and what he wanted to do was to do good deeds. If the charity foundation could be established one day earlier, he might be able to save more patients in urgent need. He understood Li Mubai's character, and he knew that polite words would hurt the other party's feelings. According to the words of the Li family's third young master, being polite was not a real brother. As expected, Li Mubai fell for it. He agreed without hesitation, "Your business is my business. I'll ask my brother what procedures are needed first and then I'll tell you. If there's any trouble, I'll help you solve it." Lu Qin smiled and said, "Thank you. I'll treat you to a drink in 2 days." "Drinking is fine, but I also have something." Li Mubai showed a rare look of embarrassment. "I need your help." Lu Qin was curious. "What's the matter?" "Writing songs? That's easy." Li Mubai was also a fan of pop music and he had a band which was quite stylish. Lu Qin had sent 2 works to Li Mubai before. It had been a long time. He thought that Li Mubai wanted a few new songs to entertain himself, or to release an album. Unexpectedly, Li Mubai shook his head and explained, "It's Fanny. She likes the TV series you filmed. If you film a new TV series, can you arrange a role for her?" "Fanny?" Lu Qin remembered. "Isn't it the girl that Li Mubai has been pursuing?" He remembered that he had seen Fanny once. She was very beautiful and had a good temperament. He heard that she was a returnee. Li Mubai undoubtedly wanted to use this to please her. Lu Qin couldn't help but laugh. "No problem. Isn't it just a role? That's not a big deal at all." But Li Mubai had another request. "The role can't have sex scenes, kissing scenes, it's best not to hold hands." Lu Qin was convinced. Chapter 301. Looking back at domestic pop music in 2015, there were very few things worth writing home about. The mainstream of the market was still occupied by fast songs and catchy songs. Although those famous singers had released a lot of new albums, few of them could lead the trend or cause a sensation. The new generation of artists made their debut through endless talent shows and still walked the old road that had been stepped on by countless people. This once made the author feel worried. Where would domestic pop music go? Would it continue to fall into the abyss in plagiarism, imitation, and following the trend? Or would it stagger forward in difficulty, exploration, and struggle? But the emergence of a young singer blew a fresh wind to the pop music world that had been depressed for too long. The main theme was nostalgic folk songs and light rock songs that had experienced the vicissitudes of life but did not lose their passion. His original works made people's eyes light up, as if there was endless melody inspiration, like the dawn, bringing hope and light. Many people should have guessed the name of this young singer. On the eve of the 2016 Asian Chinese Songs Chart Award ceremony, the author sincerely hoped that more support and honor could be given to those young people with real talent, so that there would be hope for the future of pop music. The above content came from Donghou Lu's Cultivator, a well-known blogger in the Waves blog. His main job was an editor of a fashion magazine, and his part-time job was as a writer, film critic and music critic. He had a high level of professionalism. His blog fans exceeded 2 million, and his articles were very popular with blog netizens. Donghu Lu's cultivator had a unique view of domestic pop music. On the eve of the Asian Chinese Songs Chart Award ceremony every year, he would post a retrospective blog post to talk about his thoughts. In addition, it must be pointed out that Donghu Lu's cultivator was also a member of the judging panel of the Asian Chinese Songs Chart Award ceremony. His blog post caused a lot of repercussions in the circle. The young singer that Donghu Lu's cultivator specially pointed out in the blog post was undoubtedly Lu Chen. In the pop music world of 2015, there was no newcomer more dazzling than Lu Chen. His edge surpassed many well-known predecessors. He also brought the campus folk style, and all the works of his debut album were on the original music chart. And Donghu Lu's cultivator's public praise for Lu Chen made people wonder. Everyone knew that Lu Chen had won 4 important nominations for the Asian Chinese Songs Chart. Would he create another miracle? For example, winning multiple awards? Of course, Lu Chen's fans were very excited about it. They said that Lu Chen deserved the award and that there was no doubt that he would win it. However, the fans of his competitor had a different view. Therefore, the two sides fought fiercely on blogs, Tieba, forums and other places. On the internet, the atmosphere of the Asian Chinese Music Chart Award ceremony was hyped up in advance, attracting more people's attention. On the evening of February 18th at the National Grand Theatre. This magnificent landmark was located on the south side of Chang'an Avenue, covering an area of 18 hectares, with a total construction area of more than 200,000 square meters, and a total investment of 3.5 billion yuan. The main building consisted of an external steel shell, a main hall with 5,000 seats, a concert hall with 2,200 seats, a drama hall with 1,000 seats, a public hall and supporting rooms. The most special thing was that the roof of the National Grand Theatre was semi-oval and covered with soft colors and luster of titanium metal. There were 2 similar triangular glass curtain walls on the front and back sides. The entire building floated on the artificial water surface. The audience needed to enter the performance hall through a 100-meter-long underwater passage. The shape of the entire theater was novel, avant-garde, and unique. It was a combination of tradition and modernity, romance and reality. Therefore it was called, the theater in the city in the theater. The 2016 Asian Chinese Music Chart Award ceremony was held in the main hall of the National Grand Theatre. The sky had just darkened, and the leisure square outside the National Grand Theatre was noisy. A long red carpet extended from the center of the square to the entrance of the underwater passage, which was blocked by a huge signature wall. Both sides of the red carpet were separated by security fences. All kinds of media reporters with long cameras and short cannons squatted inside, and outside were heavily armed security personnel. Tens of thousands of onlookers could only try their best to raise their height. Otherwise, except for those in the front row, those in the back could only see heads. On the east side of the leisure square, adjacent to the parking lot, there was a separate area for idlers. All kinds of celebrities and other invited guests arrived, waiting for the start of the red carpet ceremony. Compared with the Chinese Music Chart Award ceremony held by Shonan TV in Shaoqing not long ago, the Asian Chinese Music Chart, jointly organized by CCTV and CCTV, was far better in terms of scale and style. Renting the National Grand Theatre alone was enough to overshadow all similar parties in China. Moreover, CCTV's 3 Variety Channel and 15 Music Channel would broadcast the grand ceremony live. Lu Chen was also among the celebrity guests who were about to walk the red carpet. He saw a lot of acquaintances here. Most of the faces were not unfamiliar, and there were also several people he really knew, such as Tan Hong, Liao Jia, Qin Hanyang, and even the 3 beautiful girls of MSN. MSN was nominated for the Best New Group on the Golden Music Chart. In fact, they debuted too late. The nomination was mainly the result of the strong public relations of Flying Stone Records. Of course, MSN's debut album sold well and was barely qualified. They were all people in the circle. No matter if they knew each other or not, no matter which family they came from, everyone politely greeted each other, socialized, and passed the boring time of waiting by the way. Looking around, it was really a group of bright stars. Any one of them had millions of fans on the Waves blog. Lu Chen, who was mixed in the crowd, undoubtedly became one of the focuses. First of all, his height was big beyond average, coupled with a hand-cut suit and high face value. He was so handsome that many female stars frequently paid attention to him, making it impossible for people to ignore his existence. Secondly, Autumn in My Heart brought great popularity to Lu Qin. Few people present didn't know him. And Lu Qin, who debuted in mid-2015, had a talent in music that was obvious to all. It was difficult for a newcomer like him, who had a combination of good looks, strength and popularity, not to be noticed. Of course, the star artists present respected their identity. Even if they wanted to chat with Lu Qin, they would not approach him eagerly. Even so, Lu Qin was introduced to a lot of people by Tan Hong and Liao Jia. His two elder brothers regarded Lu Qin as a little brother and took good care of him. After this circle, Lu Qin's network expanded a little, and he could talk and laugh wittily in front of those people who were previously unreachable. Until the appearance of Qin Fei. "Ah, sister-in-law is here." Liao Jia, who had a big mouth, directly teased, "Come on, Lu Qin is yours." In fact, a lot of people in the circle knew about the relationship between Lu Qin and Qin Fei. The news in the entertainment circle spread extremely fast, and many things could not be hidden at all. But the two did not officially disclose their relationship. Unless there was an ulterior motive, no one would talk about it to the outside world. This was the tacit rule in the circle, and everyone followed it for themselves. Only a carefree and stubborn person like Liao Jia would dare to make fun of the two of them in public. He could not take it seriously. Qin Fei glared at Liao Jia angrily and ignored him. Then he chatted with Tan Hong. The relationship between Tan Hong and Qin Fei was well known in the circle. The former was the latter's teacher and trustworthy brother. Without Tan Hong's care, Qin Fei's career would not have developed so smoothly. However, unlike Qin Fei, who was in the process of transformation, Tan Hong, who was far from retirement age, had gradually faded out of the entertainment circle and the singing circle. He put more energy and time on his family and other careers. He could only be seen on important occasions such as the Asian Chinese Music Chart or the Chinese Music Chart Award ceremony. Tan Hong chatted with Qin Fei for a while and then pulled Lu Qin over. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was 7 o'clock. The red carpet ceremony officially began. The celebrity guests stepped on the red carpet in pairs according to the predetermined order under the arrangement of the MC, which represented their identity and honor, enjoying the attention of tens of millions of people and the baptism of flashing lights. The organizing committee of the Asian Chinese Music Chart arranged for Lu Qin and Qin Fei to walk on the red carpet together. Qin Fei wore a gorgeous white dress that night. After being carefully dressed up, she looked very beautiful. She gracefully took Lu Qin's arm, and the two walked side by side with tacit understanding. When a large number of flashing lights lit up, heart-wrenching shouts came from the crowd, "Un-hee! Jun-hee!" Lu Qin and Qin Fei looked at each other and smiled. They stopped at the same time, turned left and right, and posed so that the media reporters and the fans at the scene could take pictures. The entertainment reporters at the side of the red carpet pressed the shutter as hard as they could to capture the photo of the two people in the camera. The reporters present were all experienced and knowledgeable. There were countless handsome men and beautiful women in the entertainment circle. They had seen too many of them. However, Lu Qin and Qin Fei who appeared in front of the public tonight were too tacky to say that they were a golden couple. They deserved to be the best couple of the year. One was tall and handsome, and the other was beautiful and charming. They were the male and female leads of popular dramas who had been involved in scandals. Such a combination was simply the perfect material. It would definitely attract a lot of attention and clicks on the entertainment section. Unfortunately, unlike the celebrities who couldn't wait to crawl on the red carpet like snails, Lu Qin and Qin Fei only stopped for a few seconds and continued to move forward, which made the reporters who didn't get a good shot feel regretful. The two walked to the end of the red carpet, and then left their names on the signature wall. Finally, they walked along the underwater passage and entered the National Center for the Performing Arts. In the main hall, which could accommodate 5,000 people, the guests and audience had already taken their seats. A grand ceremony was about to begin. Chapter 302. At 7:25 p.m., the main hall of the National Grand Theater was brightly lit. With the entrance of the celebrity guests, the auditorium was full. Lu Qin and Qin Fei's seats were in the 5th row, and they were next to each other. On the left side of Lu Qin was Qin Fei, on the right side was Li Mubai and then Fanny and Lu Shi. Lu Qin received 4 nominations for the Asian Chinese Music Chart, and the organizing committee gave him 4 invitations. In addition to himself, he could bring 3 other people to attend the ceremony. Of the 3 places, Lu Qin gave 1 to Lu Shi and the other 2 to Li Mubai. With Li Mubai's family background, it was not a problem for him to get a place here, but the invitation given by Lu Qin was different. Li Mubai happily accepted the favor and took the opportunity to invite Fanny. Lu Qin, hello. Fanny took the initiative to greet Lu Qin, looking very gentle and beautiful. Although she was not as good as Qin Fei, she was also an outstanding beauty. No wonder Li Mubai was fascinated by her. Lu Qin nodded and said with a smile, hello. He introduced Li Mubai and Fanny to Qin Fei respectively. Fanny was actually a fan of Qin Fei. While they were talking, the Asian Chinese Music Chart Award ceremony officially began. The opening was a gorgeous and wonderful large-scale dance program. The Central Television, which held various large-scale parties every year, had incomparable experience in this regard. The use of various music, dance, sound, and light had reached the acme of perfection. After the opening performance, the four hosts appeared on the stage. They were all famous figures. They first reviewed the glorious history of the Asian Chinese Music Chart, and then presented the leader's congratulatory speech. More than 10 minutes passed. Then, the famous host of CCTV, Xia Jun, said in his unique powerful voice, before the official announcement of the 21 awards, let's announce the special Golden Melody Chart Lifetime Achievement Award for this year's Asian Chinese Music Chart. Then, who is the winner of the Lifetime Achievement Award as determined by the panel of judges of the Asian Chinese Music Chart? Xia Jun revealed a smile that the entire nation's audience was extremely familiar with. Let us invite the famous musician Fang Xinghai to reveal the answer to us. The audience immediately burst into enthusiastic applause. The guests were a little surprised because most of them did not know about the existence of this award beforehand. Including this year, the Asian Chinese Top Songs chart had been held for 15 years. The first award was 17, and later increased to 21. However, there had never been a Lifetime Achievement Award. This year was the last year of the Asian Chinese Top Songs chart, which meant that the Lifetime Achievement Award was unique. One could only imagine its weight. No one expected that the award ceremony would have such a big suspense at the beginning. Amidst the tide-like applause, a silver-haired old man walked onto the stage and took the envelope containing the list of winners from Xia Jun. Fang Xinghai was a very famous musician in China. Not only was he engaged in the creation of classical and traditional music, but he also studied modern pop music. In the 1990s, he had also written several popular works. In front of him, all the guests present were considered juniors. Fang Xinghai, who was already over 80 years old, was still very healthy. He was hale and hearty and his face was ruddy. He tore open the envelope and took out a card from it. Then he said loudly into the microphone, "The winner of the 16th Asian Chinese Top Songs Chart Lifetime Achievement Award is..." Everyone's heart was instantly lifted, and the hall of the theater was completely silent. Tan Hong. As the Lifetime Achievement Award was a temporary award, there was no nomination list. Therefore, except for a few people, no one knew who the candidates were, let alone the winner. Therefore, when Fang Xinghai said the name of the winner, the guests and the audience did not immediately react, but the loud applause suddenly burst out like thunder, instantly spreading to the entire hall. Lu Qin clapped hard and was the first to stand up, to send the most sincere congratulations to Tan Hong. On the road of Lu Qin's music, Tan Hong had given him a lot of help and support, unconditionally. Lu Qin had never forgotten this deep favor, but unfortunately he had never had the chance to repay it. Then it was Qin Fei and the other star artists. Tan Hong was born in the 1970s, and it had been 25 years since his debut. He had a total of 17 original albums, among which his album Soaring Pigeon sold more than 5 million copies in 1999, writing the final glory of pop music record sales, and the total sales of his albums ranked in the top 3 among all singers. Soaring Pigeon, After the Rain, The Prodigal Son, Memories Often, Love. These classic works were still sung to this day. In addition to his talent in music, Tan Hong's character was also first class. He had almost never had a scandal since his debut, and was recognized as a good husband and father inside and outside the circle. Moreover, Tan Hong also liked to help new singers. There were countless singers who had received his guidance and help, the most famous of which was Qin Fei. The friendship between the two had always been a good story in the circle. Just like when he helped Lu Qin, he helped people without asking for anything in return, so he had friends all over the world in the circle. In terms of qualifications and achievements, there were definitely big stars in the music circle who could stand shoulder to shoulder with Tan Hong, but in terms of character and popularity, he definitely deserved to win this Lifetime Achievement Award. The applause was like a tidal wave, each wave louder than the one before. Tan Hong stood up from his seat, cupped his hands to his left and right to express his gratitude, and then strode onto the stage. He did not immediately take the glittering Golden Lark Award from Fang Xinghai. Instead, he bowed deeply to the musician from a distance of 2 steps. Fang Xinghai was Tan Hong's teacher, so it was not without reason that the Golden Melody Chart Committee chose him to award the award to Tan Hong. Fang Xinghai went forward to help Tan Hong up and stuffed the award into his hands, his face full of a gratified smile. Holding the Golden Lark Award, Tan Hong stood in front of the microphone. There was a faint flash of tears in his eyes, and this old man in his 40s revealed his true feelings. "Thank you, thank my teacher Fang Xinghai, thanks CCTV and CCTV, thank you to the Golden Melody Chart Committee, thank you to everyone." He bowed deeply again. The 5,000 audience members all stood up and applauded in unison. At this moment, many people had a vague feeling that this was Tan Hong bidding farewell to everyone. This big star in the music industry had chosen to retire without any reluctance, leaving the stage that had once given him supreme glory. The era that belonged to him had truly come to an end. Chapter 303. After Tan Hong won the only Lifetime Achievement Award in the Asian Chinese Music Chart, the award ceremony continued. The Media Recommendation Award, Best Music Video, Best Arrangement and other awards were won one by one. Next is the Best Newcomer Award in the Asian Chinese Music Chart. The excited voice of CCTV host Xia Jun echoed in the ears of the 5,000 audience at the scene. "Please look at the big screen." On the giant LED display that served as the background of the stage, a picture that was cut vertically into 4 pieces instantly appeared. The photos of the 4 candidates for the Best Newcomer Award appeared at the same time, with their respective representative works shining below. The first candidate is Zhou Bei, with her representative work Blooming Flower! Zhou Bei's beautiful voice immediately came out of the top-notch sound system arranged around the hall. Zhou Bei was the winner of the 2015 Deep Sea Satellite TV's Ace Variety Show, National Idol. After signing a contract with Starlight Media, she released her debut album Blooming Flower. She is about the same age as Lu Chen. She has an outstanding appearance, good singing ability, and a reputation as a talented woman in music. Therefore, she was strongly supported by Starlight Media. She received a lot of announcements and endorsements, and has more than 5 million fans in Wave's blog. It is worth mentioning that Zhou Bei is the star spokesperson of Starlight Show. Every time she opens a live broadcast, the number of viewers exceeds 1 million, faintly forming a tit-for-tat trend with Lu Chen, who signed a contract with Whale TV. The contest between the two was not just once. The earliest was their debut album Lu Chen's You Who Sat Next to Me album and her Blooming Flower, which were only a few days apart from each other on QQ Music Online. However, in terms of sales, You Who Sat Next to Me completely beat Blooming Flower. In addition, the last time Shonan TV Chinese Music Chart, Zhou Bei was also nominated for Best Newcomer. It's just that both lost to Cui Jingji. When her name was called, Zhou Bei stood up from her seat with a smile on her face and bowed to the applauding audience to express her gratitude. She was sitting in the row behind Lu Chen, and the distance between the two was no more than 10 meters. Lu Chen clapped his hands and turned his head curiously, only to meet Zhou Bei's eyes. The latter's eyes narrowed and nodded to Lu Chen. Lu Chen smiled and nodded. In fact, this was the first time the two of them had met face to face and they were competitors. The second candidate is Lin Chuxian, his masterpiece is Night's Passion. Lin Chuxian was a popular new singer in 2015. His family background was extraordinary. His father was a professor at a music academy, and his mother was a dancer. After graduating from junior high school, he was sent abroad to study music. He returned to China in 2014 and debuted at the end of the year, releasing his debut album in March 2015. His masterpiece, Night's Passion, sold quite well. The style of the work had strong European and American pop elements, so it was very popular with many young people. The title song of the album, Dark Night, once topped the original music chart for 2 consecutive weeks. Among the 4 nominees, Lin Chuxian was the biggest threat to Lu Chen. He was talented and capable, and his parents had a lot of connections in the industry. He would definitely be able to influence some of the judges. However, Lin Chuxian also had a weakness. He was arrogant and hot-tempered. He once scolded a blogger who talked about his height on his blog, and it caused a lot of uproar. Lin Chuxian's height was 1.65 meters, and some people said that his real height was no more than 1.60 meters. The third candidate is Lu Chen, his masterpiece is You Who Sat Next to Me. Lu Chen, who was called, stood up and thanked him. The fourth candidate is Xiao Bingbing, her masterpiece is If I Can Love Again. Xiao Bingbing was also a new singer who debuted last year. She was signed by the media giant Jinhua Entertainment, but she had not released an album yet. She only released a few singles, and If I Can Love Again was her masterpiece that was on the original music chart. Compared to Zhou Bei, Lin Chuxian and Lu Chen, Xiao Bingbing was much worse in all aspects. Her only strength was probably her looks. She was young and beautiful, had a sexy body and was good at dancing. It was widely believed in the industry that she was nominated for Best Newcomer on the Asian Chinese music chart because Jinhua Entertainment's public relations ability was too strong. It was basically impossible for her to win the award. CCTV was not Xiangnan satellite TV. They had a higher moral index and rarely did things that could cause an uproar in public opinion. Therefore, the Golden Lark Award would only fall into the hands of one of Zhou Bei, Lin Chuxian, or Lu Chen. Lin Chuxian and Lu Chen had the highest chances of winning the award. After the nomination list was announced, Xia Jun said loudly, "Next, let us invite the famous singer Miss Chen Feier to announce the winner of the Asian Chinese Music Chart's Best Newcomer Award." As soon as he finished speaking, a bright beam of light instantly shone on the seat next to Lu Chen. Chen Feier revealed a charming smile. She lifted her skirt with one hand and left her seat. She walked onto the stage amidst the warm applause of the audience and took the envelope from another CCTV host. The main hall instantly quieted down. Everyone's eyes were focused on Chen Feier. Apart from the Lifetime Achievement Award that was added at the last minute, the Best Newcomer Award was undoubtedly the first really important award, especially the Asian Chinese Top Songs chart. Since the beginning of the new century, the domestic entertainment industry had developed rapidly and the scale of the industry had been expanding. However, the overall quality of the pop music industry, where there were more and more singers and artists, showed a trend of decline. Chinese pop music was greatly influenced by Europe, America, Japan, and South Korea. Many entertainment record companies were eager for quick success and did not pay attention to original works. Covers, imitations, and even plagiarized foreign works became a trend. There were fewer and fewer original songs that people praised. Many insightful people in the industry were worried and cried out, which also attracted the attention of the government. As the official representative, the Asian Chinese music chart led by CCTV and CCTV naturally had to promote the correct value orientation and enhance the value of the award. For example, the Best Newcomer Award, which was not valued in the past, had a lot of weight in recent years. The most direct manifestation was that since 2010, all the singers who won the Best Newcomer Award would be qualified to participate in the song and dance program of next year's Spring Festival Gala. CCTV's Spring Festival Gala was the strongest program with a ratings of more than 85% for decades. Many artists became famous through the Spring Festival Gala and embarked on the road to become a big shot in the industry. Therefore, even if it was just the qualification to participate in the program, it was enough to make people break their heads and beg for it. The Asian Chinese Music Chart's Best Newcomer Award was related to the Spring Festival Gala, so its weight could be imagined. And 3 of the previous 5 Best Newcomer Award winners had really stepped onto the stage of the Spring Festival Gala and became famous overnight. The next moment, as Chen Feier opened the envelope and took out the card with the award winner's name, the fierce accompaniment suddenly sounded, like a storm pounding on people's hearts. Even Lu Chen's heart was in his throat. He saw Chen Feier open the card, and then his eyes widened in surprise as if it was incredible. The drumming suddenly stopped. The heavenly queen of the singing industry's expression became serious. She looked ahead and said into the microphone, "The winner of the 16th Asian Chinese Music Chart's Best Newcomer Award is..." Chen Feier's lips curved into a soul-stirring and beautiful smile. Lu Chen. Lu Chen. It had only been more than half a year since his official debut. Lu Chen, who had not signed any entertainment agency and had miraculously risen in the pop music industry, had won an important award in his music career. The 16th Asian Chinese Music Chart's Best Newcomer Award. When Lu Chen heard his name coming out of Chen Feier's mouth, although he had expected and prepared for it in advance, he still felt a rush of blood rushing to his head, making his face blush, and he couldn't help showing an excited expression. After going all the way to the present, he finally got the honor that he deserved. Chen Feier smiled and said, "Congratulations, Lu Chen." The audience burst into thunderous applause. Except for a few people, most of the guests and audience were not surprised that Lu Chen won the Best Newcomer Award. Their congratulations were warm and sincere. Looking back to 2015, Lu Chen's rise in the pop music industry was really a bright spot in the industry. So far, he had created more than 20 works, each of which was excellent, and there was no lack of classics. Such talent, such high yield, and so dazzling. It could be said that because of Lu Qin, Chinese pop music in the second half of 2015 had vitality and vitality. His success also encouraged the new generation of originality to a great extent, especially the campus folk style brought by him, which made people like this kind of nostalgic work and washed away a lot of impetuous atmosphere in the music industry. Based on his contribution to music alone, Lu Qin was fully qualified to win this award. Who could be better than him? Zhou Bei couldn't, Lin Chuxian couldn't, and Xiao Bingbing couldn't. The only shortcoming of Lu Qin was that his foundation in the circle was too poor. He did not sign a contract with a powerful agency or entertainment company, but chose the difficult road of opening his own studio. Previously he was suppressed by Shonen TV in the Chinese music chart, and this was the main reason. But in turn, it also proved the strength of Lu Qin. Will you remember tomorrow, the diary you wrote yesterday? Will you still think about tomorrow? The music sounded, and it was Lu Qin's You who sat next to me. The spotlight shone on him, accompanying him to the big stage that was in the limelight. At this moment, on the VIP seats, as a defeated competitor, Zhou Bei bit her lip and clapped. She lost to Lu Qin again. She was unwilling, but she could still maintain her demeanor. In contrast, Lin Chuxuan's face was a lot worse. He clapped his hands casually and put them down. As for Xiao Bingbing, she probably knew that she had no chance. She laughed heartlessly, and her reaction was the most enthusiastic. Outside the venue, on the internet, and among the audience watching the Asian Chinese Music Chart Award ceremony, countless people congratulated Lu Qin. Chapter 304. CCTV's Asian Chinese Music Chart Award ceremony was originally a big event in the domestic pop music industry. It was broadcast live on 2 satellite channels, plus a large number of stars, so the ratings were naturally very high. For Lu Qin's fans, the 4 nominations Lu Qin had won were undoubtedly the best reason for them to watch the live broadcast of the party on TV or the internet. At the beginning of the year, Xiangnan Satellite TV's Chinese Music Chart disappointed and angered everyone once, so they had more expectations for the authoritative and more valuable Golden Melody chart. Tian, for nominations he should win one, right? The result did not disappoint everyone. The first and most likely Best Newcomer award went to Lu Qin. The internet was suddenly boiling. Especially in Lu Qin's live broadcast room on Whale TV, where Lu Jiejun had been defending. From beginning to end, it was Lu Qin's most solid support, which played an irreplaceable role in gathering popularity and fan loyalty. Tonight's Asian Chinese Music Chart Award ceremony could not be directly promoted by Whale TV due to copyright reasons. However, the news of Lu Qin's nomination had been posted early, so when Lu Qin's live broadcast room broadcast the party, the number of online viewers broke a new high. Oh yeah, Best Newcomer Award. Big Lu Qin is mighty? Oh, as expected. Besides our Lu Qin, who else is qualified for this award? Aha, I also opened a bet with others. I bet that Lu Qin could win 2 awards. He got 1. Best Newcomer and Best Composition. 2 awards are not a problem. Don't think the Best Composition is too simple. It really needs seniority. I don't think he can get it. Seniority again. I hate this kind of thing the most. We have to believe in Big Lu Qin. The Best Newcomer Award is just the beginning. There will be bigger awards later. Hooray, he finally won the award. Due to the large number of people online, the live broadcast room was slightly lagging. As for the bullet screen and GIFs, it was needless to say. If the special effects of GIFs were not set up and blocked, the scene would be unwatchable. On blogs and forums, there were countless posts celebrating Lu Qin's first Newcomer Award. Central TV is still more reliable. Lu Qin should have won the Newcomer Award a long time ago. Shonen TV's attitude. Hehe, now they've been slapped in the face, right? I'm not afraid of being slapped in the face. Shonen TV's skin is as thick as a city wall. You won't be able to penetrate it even if you practice the iron palm. My thoughts are finally clear now. Last time I was so depressed. Sigh, I don't want to talk about it. The bitterness is over and the sweetness is here. Congratulations. On the brilliant and dazzling main hall stage of the National Grand Theatre, Lu Qin received the award from Chen Feier. The main body of the Asian Chinese Songs chart was a lifelike lark with a musical note in its mouth. It was made of pure copper and had a gilded surface. The shape was very exquisite and of course it was not light. Their eyes met. Although they did not say anything, the look in each other's eyes was enough to explain everything. With a charming smile, Chen Feier suddenly opened her arms and hugged Lu Qin. She said softly, "Congratulations." Lu Qin naturally accepted her hug and congratulations. The two of them openly and secretly showed their love in front of hundreds of millions of people. This scene immediately caused an uproar at the scene. The audience laughed and applauded at the same time. The love between Lu Qin and Qin Fei was gradually moving from the underground to the sunshine. Step by step, it was like the spring rain moistening the soil. Those who understood would naturally understand, and those who did not understand would gradually understand. Accompanied by flashes of light, this scene was captured by the reporters and photographers at the scene in time. It was believed that it would become one of the best pictures in related entertainment news reports. Of course, showing their love couldn't be too excessive, especially under the eyes of the public. In order to avoid killing the single dogs, Lu Qin and Qin Fei let go of each other at the same time. The latter smiled and stepped aside. Now the main character was Lu Qin. Holding the heavy award in his hand, Lu Qin took a deep breath and suppressed the excitement in his heart. He said to the microphone, "Thank you, everyone, thanks CCTV and CCTV. Thank you to the Golden Songs Charts judging panel for giving me this important award. It gave me the biggest surprise of this year." Applause sounded again. Lu Qin continued, "Embarking on the road of music was an accident, but it was precisely this accident that let me find the most important goal in life. Along the way to this day, I need to thank a lot of people like Brother Tan Hong, like Miss Qin Fei, and many fans who support me. Without you, there would be no present and no future for me. And the person I am most grateful to is my mother. I think at this moment she must be sitting in front of the TV. I want to tell her that I will always be her pride. Thank you." Lu Qin took a step back, bowed deeply, and saluted to express his gratitude. The live applause suddenly sounded like a storm in the main hall of the National Center for the Performing Arts. One by one, the guests stood up and gave sincere congratulations to Lu Qin. After a full 10 seconds, Lu Qin straightened up again. He raised the award in his hand and waved it twice, then returned to his seat with Qin Fei. The award ceremony of the Asian Chinese Music Chart was far from over. The next awards were the Best Producer and the Best Lyrics Award. The former had nothing to do with Lu Qin, while the latter was nominated by Lu Qin. However, unlike the Best Newcomer Award, the other three nominees for the Lyrics Award were all well-known top writers in the industry. In terms of lyrics, they were far more experienced and famous than Lu Qin. Therefore, although Lu Qin's nominated work, I Love You China, was sung all over the country in 2015, he still had no chance of winning this award. In the end, it was won by the famous songwriter Wang Guangzong. Wang Guangzong was a senior in the circle. He had been in the industry for decades and had cooperated with many famous singers. He had won many awards, so he behaved very calmly. After saying a few words of thanks, he left the stage. After the Best Lyrics Award, it was the Best Composition Award, which was also a very important award. Lu Qin also got nominated with I Love You China, but unfortunately his competitors were the same as before. They were all famous figures in the industry, Dong Zhen, Zhang Qi, and Tang Xia. In terms of experience, fame, and connections, Lu Qin was at least a few streets behind these three gods. His only advantage was that Dong Zhen, Zhang Qi, and Tang Xia did not have any very classic works in 2015. Their nominated works were not as popular as I Love You China. However, even so, except for Lu Qin's fans, not many people were optimistic that he could win this award. Chapter 305. Since his debut in 2015, Lu Qin's fans have increased at an astonishing rate, especially the fans in Waves blog. In just over half a year, it has soared from tens of thousands to more than 15 million. But the core of his fan support group has always been Lu Jiejun, which was established by Li Mubai. So far, Lu Jiejun has more than 500,000 members, which is the backbone of Lu Qin's support. The number of QQ groups has reached 200 plus. With Whale TV Lu Qin Live Room, Waves blog, Lu Qin Fan Group Official V, and Lu Qin Bar as the base, it has formed a considerable scale. On the evening of February 18, 2016, the Asian Chinese Music Chart Award ceremony, organized by CCTV and broadcast live, received the attention of thousands of fans because Lu Qin had 4 nominations. There are many fans watching TV or live video while discussing with others in blogs and Chieba. There are new posts in Lu Qin Bar every second, and the PV traffic has set a record. These fans don't like Whale TV, nor do they like the style of the blog. They stay in Chieba all year round and post. Once there is any activity, they often attack together, so they are often called Water Army. There are 2 kinds of Water Army, one is mineral water and the other is tap water. The former costs money and the latter is free. In Lu Qin Bar it's basically all tap water. Therefore, when Lu Qin won the best award, the Chieba was boiling and countless congratulatory posts gushed out like magma that had been pierced through the earth's crust, brushing the front page red. However, this hot atmosphere did not last long. As the award ceremony continued, it gradually calmed down. Especially when Lu Qin lost the Best Lyrics Award, the tieba was full of lamentation. The Best Lyrics Award is really out of the question as expected. Don't say I'm ignorant. Who are these people? I really don't know them. You don't know Wang Guangzong? Haven't heard of Spring Dawn, The Moon Illuminates My Hometown, and The End of the Road? Don't say any more. Wang Guangzong is still very powerful. He's a real big shot. It's normal for Lu Qin to lose. What do you mean by normal? Even if he was very good in the past, I've never heard of his current award-winning work. Who hasn't heard of Lu Chen's I Love You China? The awards are not based on the popularity of the songs. The fans of Lu Chen's forum expressed their regret and indignation over Lu Chen's failure to win the Best Lyricist Award. However, they were still able to accept it. There were not many extreme comments or people shouting that Central TV was involved in shady dealings. Compared to Lu Chen's cold reception on the Chinese music chart, the honor he had received now made it impossible for people to criticize Central TV's integrity. At least they could guarantee fairness. Of course, there were also many optimists on Tieba. Someone posted, "Don't panic everyone. There's still the Best Composition and Best Album awards." His post was immediately echoed by other fans. Yes, the Best Composition award has begun. Lu Qin has a chance. However, not everyone supported his view. A friend with the ID heavy metal element replied, "He doesn't even have a chance for the Best Lyricist award. How can he have a chance for the Best Composition award? Dream On? I Love You China is just so. It's just because it's a theme song. Otherwise, it wouldn't even have a nomination." To put it bluntly, Lu Qin is being praised too highly. Lin Chuxian is not any worse than him among the newcomers. Heavy metal element was obviously a passerby. His fan value in Lu Chen's forum was 0. Therefore, this reply immediately angered his friends. In the blink of an eye, there was a long line of attacks. Where did this black person come from? Get lost as far as your thoughts can go. Hee, I'm jealous again. I'm so jealous. Speaking of which, are you a fan of Lin Chuxian? Everyone, don't be fooled. This guy is deliberately picking a fight. It's best to ignore him. Faced with the attacks of many fans, heavy metal element replied again. Hee, Lu Chen's fans are all like this? I'll say it here today. If he can win the Best Composition award, I'll eat this custom-made magic keyboard in front of me. This taunt was so powerful that it instantly attracted a lot of hatred and angered even more friends. Betting on eating keyboards was a common trick used by netizens in Tieba and forums. There were also people betting on eating sh*t. Of course, that was not within the scope of discussion. There was actually someone who would eat a keyboard if they lost. A chocolate keyboard. Because it was a trick, no one would take it seriously. It was just that heavy metal element's attitude was too infuriating. He insulted all the fans in the forum. In addition, the custom-made magic keyboard was also a very subtle taunt. The magic keyboard was the aristocrat of keyboards. The normal mass-produced version started at $1,000. The custom-made version was very common and ordinary people couldn't afford it. And the netizens in Tieba were basically ordinary people. But many fans remained silent about heavy metal element's taunt. Because to be honest, the possibility of Lu Qin winning the Best Composition award was really very low. The Best Composition award was a lot more important than the Best Lyrics award and the Best Newcomer award. In the history of the Asian Chinese songs chart, no one had ever won the Best Newcomer award and the Best Composition award at the same time. Most importantly, Lu Chen's competitors were too strong: Dong Zhen, Zhang Kui, and Tang Xia. Generally speaking, the popularity of a songwriter was big and weaker than that of a singer. The two were not on the same level at all. People would only remember who the original singer of a good song was and rarely care about the author, unless the author was the singer himself. No matter how high the songwriter's status in the circle was, it couldn't change this phenomenon. Dong Zhen, Zhang Kui, and Tang Xia were all famous composers whose names were remembered by many fans. That was why heavy metal element dared to taunt the group in Lu Chen's Tieba so unscrupulously. Then what was the use of taunting him? The result would only make him more proud. While the war was raging in the Tieba, the winner of the Best Composition award was about to be announced in the National Grand Theatre. Li Xing was in charge of announcing the winner. Li Xing, 32 years old, was one of the rare 3 superstars in the country. She had debuted for 17 years, published more than a dozen albums, starred in many movies and TV series, and achieved great achievements in all aspects. In terms of status in the circle, she was a level higher than Qin Fei, but now Qin Fei, or had the momentum of catching up with the popular Autumn in My Heart. Li Xing was wearing a sapphire blue deep V-neck evening gown that night. Under the spotlight, half of her breasts were exposed, and her mature charm couldn't be hidden. She gracefully tore open the sealed envelope, took out the card from inside and opened it. The next moment, Heavenly Queen Li showed a surprised expression, as if she had seen something incredible. Her expression was also displayed on the big LED screen behind her, and it was seen by hundreds of millions of viewers at the same time. But everyone had seen many award ceremonies and knew that the guest presenters loved to play this kind of expression trick. They pretended to be in suspense, but often there wasn't much suspense and it was just to create a little dramatic effect. The guests at the scene were even more used to it, and quietly waited for her to reveal the mystery. However, Li Xing opened her red lips and spat out two words. Lu Qin. Lu Qin. Lu Qin. How could it be Lu Qin? The audience was stunned. It was as if a supporting role had suddenly become the main character. It was too unbelievable. But the music that instantly sounded in the main hall let everyone know that they did not hear wrongly. A lark flies across the blue sky. I love you China, I love you China, I love you China, I love you vigorous seedlings in spring, I love you golden fruits in autumn. That's right, it was Lu Qin and it was his, I love you China. With this work that was already a household name, Lu Qin won the Best Composition crown of the 16th Asian Chinese Top Songs chart, winning his second Golden Lark Award, and it was an even more important one. Li Xing smiled and said, Congratulations Lu Qin. The spotlight instantly shone on Lu Qin. Lu Qin did not expect that after losing the Best Lyrics Award, he could actually win the Best Composition Award. He was really caught off guard and could not help but look stunned. Of course his reaction was normal. He was not a robot and it would be strange if he did not react. Qin Fei gently pushed him, turned around and said with a smile, Congratulations. She was the first to clap her hands. The audience seemed to wake up from a dream and at the same time, there was a hubbub of applause. Who would have thought that Central TV would release such a big bomb? It was estimated that tomorrow's entertainment news would be torn apart. In fact, strictly speaking, Lu Qin deserved to win the Best Composition Award. The song he nominated, I Love You China, had a good combination of pop elements and main melody style. It could be said that it was the best work of the same genre in recent years, and it was the most popular song that was most appreciated by the public. The reason why everyone was not optimistic about Lu Qin before was that his competitors were too strong. The most criticized thing about the Asian Chinese Top Songs chart, which had been held for more than a dozen years, was that there was a phenomenon of seniority. Most of the important awards would not be awarded to young people who had just debuted. As a result, in the last session, there was a big news. However, people with discerning eyes could see that Central TV was not deliberately playing to the gallery, but deliberately encouraged and supported the new power of pop music, so that young musicians could have more opportunities to stand out. This was a good thing for the domestic pop music industry, and people could not help but look forward to the global Chinese Top Songs chart, which would be held on December 31st this year, by the merger of the Asian Chinese Top Songs chart and the China Original Music chart. Therefore, while everyone was surprised, they also gave a warm applause to Lu Qin, who had walked onto the stage. This was his glorious moment. Chapter 306. It was an accident, an absolute accident. The Best Composition Award in the Asian Chinese Music chart was undoubtedly the first dark horse of the night. The fans who witnessed Lu Qin's reappearance on the stage to receive the award went crazy. In Lu Qin's bar, Heavy Metal Element, who had bet half a minute ago that he would eat a keyboard, was immediately ridiculed by countless fans. The replies were extremely sarcastic. Haha, someone is going to eat a keyboard, a custom-made magic keyboard. I believe the taste must be very good. Remember to do a live broadcast when you eat it, otherwise everyone won't recognize it. Lu Qin is big and mighty, the haters will eat us *T. I really didn't expect this. This is the biggest surprise of the night, right? What a tragedy for this guy who eats a keyboard. Hurry up and eat. Everyone is waiting. Don't pretend to be a turtle. In fact, since Li Xing announced the winner of the Best Composition Award, Heavy Metal Element really pretended to be a turtle. He shrank his head and did not say a word no matter how his friends ridiculed and scolded him, as if nothing had happened. As for the bet to eat a keyboard, if you were serious you would lose. However, the majority of friends in the bar were very unhappy. Although they had miraculously succeeded in slapping him in the face, it was very helpless for someone to pretend to be a turtle. They could not penetrate the screen and pull him out through the network cable to beat him up, could they? However, when a star had a lot of fans, there would naturally be all kinds of people. Some people might look no different from ordinary people on the internet, but their actual combat power and action might be instantly off the charts. Immediately, fans who had mastered special skills used the legendary god-level trick on the ID heavy metal element, human flesh search. They wanted to see what kind of person this hater was. If they didn't skin him alive, they would never give up. While people were celebrating and ridiculing on the internet, on the stage of the National Grand Theater, Lu Qin received the Golden Lark Award from Li Xing. Congratulations. Li Xing showed a bright smile and opened her arms to give Lu Qin a hug. Of course, it was purely out of courtesy. She met Lu Qin at the opening ceremony of the Hangzhou Shizi Cultural Festival last year. At that time, there was a big storm because of the sulfuric acid incident. Li Xing appreciated Lu Qin's bravery and fearlessness. Moreover, Li Xing was from Hangzhou City. She and Lu Qin could be considered to be from the same hometown, so they had to be more intimate. 2 heavyweight awards before and after, and 2 heavenly queens of the singing world presented the awards. It really made people feel envious and jealous of Lu Qin. Tonight, the limelight of the Asian Chinese music chart was all stolen by him. Thank you. Lu Qin said into the microphone, I'm really surprised because in my opinion, compared to teacher Dong Zhen, teacher Zhang Kui and teacher Tang Xia, I have too much to learn. At this time, under the direction of the director, the lighting technician shone the spotlights on the 3 composers. At the same time, a close-up shot. These 3 seniors were still very graceful. Although they lost to a newcomer like Lu Qin, they were not excited or dissatisfied. They were still smiling and looking calm. I Love You China was a work that could win the Best Composition award. The choice of the judges was not wrong. Lu Qin continued, I'm very grateful to CCTV and CCTV for giving me such a high honor. I also want to thank my mentors in life and career. They are Su Bo Mo Ran and Fang Mingyi. Without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. Lu Qin did not expect to win the Best Composition award, so he did not prepare a speech. He did not repeat what he said before, so he took this opportunity to say what he had been suppressing in his heart. Without that bizarre dream, without these 3 people in the dream, no matter how hard Lu Qin worked, he would not be standing here. He thanked God for the luck bestowed upon him, and also thanked Su Bo Mo Ran and Fang Mingyi. It was hard to tell whether it was a dream or reality. Remember your original intention and never forget to be grateful. Thank you again. Lu Qin bowed deeply to all the guests for the second time, and at the same time he also expressed his gratitude to the 3 people in his memory. Amidst the waves of applause, he returned to his seat. After sitting down again, Lu Qin still felt a little unreal. He could not help but clench the award in his hand. The award was very real. Awesome. Li Mubai, who was sitting next to him, quietly gave a thumbs up to Lu Qin. He also played music before, and he knew how difficult it was for Lu Qin to win this award. It was like he was using a cheat. Lu Qin smiled faintly and felt quite emotional in his heart. Unknowingly, he had reached this step so quickly and he had won 2 big prizes. Li Mubai's eyes lit up and he said, there's still the Best Album award. He obviously hoped that Lu Qin could win again. But Lu Qin knew very well that it was all for him tonight. It was impossible for him to win the Best Album award. If such a heaven-defying thing really happened, then he must write the word big to CCTV. In fact, after winning the Best Composition award, Lu Qin already had a whole new level of respect for CCTV. The Best Album of the Year on the Golden Melody chart was announced after the Best Group. Previously, MSN was nominated for the Best New Group, but in the end they lost to another boy group, July Heaven. They lost for real and were a little unconvinced. MSN's debut album, Not Yet Lovers, had a sales result that completely crushed its opponents. As for the Best Album award, Lu Qin lost very naturally. CCTV and the Golden Melody chart judges panel had given him enough glory. It was impossible to let him be complacent until the end. In this regard, even the fans who watched the live broadcast on the internet accepted it calmly. They had long been satisfied. There were only 21 awards in the Asian Chinese music chart. In terms of weight, in addition to the Best Male and Female Singer, it was the Best Album, which was a very high honor in the industry. In addition, Qin Fei was nominated for the Best Female Singer, but the crown was taken away by Zhang Linji. Zhang Linji was also a domestic A-list female singer. Although Qin Fei was greater than her in both fame and status, she did not release a solo album in 2015. Several songs written by Lu Qin for her were not officially released on the market, so her influence last year was weaker than that of Zhang Linji, who was very active. Qin Fei was a little regretful, but he still sincerely wished Zhang Linji well. As for the Best Male Singer, it was won by Hu Gong, who was also a domestic A-list singer. After more than 2 hours of ceremony, the 16th and final Asian Chinese music chart officially came to an end at the National Grand Theatre in Beijing. This very important domestic pop music award had come to an end and was about to welcome new glory. After the end of the party, Lu Chen accepted an interview with CCTV Music Channel. Chapter 307. As the first heavyweight award ceremony of the pan-entertainment industry in 2016, the end of the 16th Asian Chinese Songs chart was undoubtedly a major event in the entertainment industry, especially in the pop music industry. The next day, February 19th, the headlines of major entertainment newspapers and websites were basically occupied by the content related to the award ceremony. All kinds of gossip and commentary articles flooded the media to bid farewell to the authoritative music awards that had lasted for more than a decade. After 10 years of hard work, Zhang Linji finally won the title of Best Female Singer on the Chinese Songs chart. Qin Fei lost to Zhang Linji and faces a difficult transition. The end of an era. Tan Hong left the pop music industry with the Chinese Songs chart. Lu Chen lived up to expectations and won the Best Newcomer award on the Golden Songs chart. First won the Best Newcomer, then won the Best Composition. The music genius Lu Chen shocked the Chinese Songs chart. In the morning, She deliberately emptied the file cabinet in the office and solemnly put the 2 Golden Lark Awards in it. She also inserted the glass of the cabinet door so that it could be seen more clearly. This was the first time that Lu Chen had won a music award, and it was 2 very valuable awards. Her sister wanted to treasure this honor of his as a memento forever. In addition, she also posted the video clip of Lu Chen's interview with CCTV's 15th Music Channel on Lu Chen Studios' blog. Like many star artists, there were currently 3 accounts related to Lu Chen on Waves's blog. The first was Lu Chen's own account, Lu Chen FMX, which had more than 15 million fans. It was a celebrity's personal blog, and most of its blog posts were about life and entertainment. The second was the official account of Lu Chen Studio, which was registered 2 months ago, with more than 3 million fans. It mainly published news related to Lu Chen, such as he was going to release a new song or participate in a certain endorsement event. The last one was Lu Chen's fan club, Lu Jiejun, with more than 5 million fans. The first 2 blogs were mainly managed by Lu Shi, especially the official V of Lu Chen Studio. Her sister personally completed the daily content updates. The situation of the last support group was relatively more complicated. There were several managers including Li Mubai. With the continuous appearance of Lu Chen's music and film works, his fame grew, and his influence on the internet and in real life also grew. In less than a year since his debut, he had faintly become an A-list celebrity. Of course, the world was so big and complicated. It was impossible for any celebrity idol to be liked and worshipped by everyone. Just as there was light, there was darkness. There were real fans, but there were also haters. There were people who supported them, but there were also people who sold them. On the entertainment channel of one of the largest portals in China, the headline of the day was, Best Composition on the Chinese Golden Songs chart, the biggest upset or the biggest shady deal. Among the 4 major portals in China, the EasyNet had always been famous for its boldness. It often stirred up sensitive controversial topics in advance to earn more traffic and attention. Many national and current affairs, entertainment gossip, military and economic news headlines were extremely eye-catching. The editors were often unscrupulous with their personal opinions, which made a lot of jokes. Therefore, many netizens jokingly called it Pig Farm. For example, when reporting the Asian Chinese Golden Songs chart, the EasyNet Entertainment Channel was obviously not willing to be the same as other media, so it directly set up Lu Chen as a target. The article attacked him by innuendo, and the title was quite shocking. In this article, the editor first mentioned the other 3 composers who were nominated for the Best Composition Award, introduced the identity, qualifications and works of Dong Zhen, Zhang Qi, and Tang Xia respectively, and then downplayed Lu Chen. In this way, if readers who did not know the truth read it, they would feel that the first 3 were better than Lu Chen. How could Lu Chen win the Best Composition Award? Was there really a shady deal? The article would not tell readers that in 2015 Lu Chen's works, whether in quantity or quality, had steadily surpassed the 3 competitors. It also did not clearly tell readers that Lu Chen won the award because of the popular song, I Love You, China. Attacking CCTV, attacking Lu Chen, and at the same time provoking the relationship between Lu Chen and the seniors in the circle, the headline of the EasyNet Entertainment Channel almost made Lu Shi, who had just seen the news online, explode with anger. I'm going to sue them. Lu Chen said with a smile, ignore them. The more you ignore them, the more fun they will make. It was a very profound knowledge for stars and artists to deal with the media. Some stars were discredited by the media, while some stars were doted on by the media. How to put it? Was it because there was a huge difference in the character and morality of the two? The answer was completely no. Those entertainment agencies had a public relations department, which was responsible for dealing with the media. Agents of stars also had this responsibility, which was a very important daily work. For ordinary entertainment reporters who came to interview, it was necessary to give them a red packet. For large media, sending some benefits was equivalent to paying a protection fee. In case of any scandal of a star artist, how to deal with the emergency public relations was actually very important. Lu Chen's rise was too fast, so Lu Chen's studio really lacked a lot of experience and network accumulation in this aspect. Even if they wanted to spend money, they had to spend it in the right place. Otherwise they would only be treated as a fool. The headline of the EasyNet Entertainment channel was actually a wake-up call for him. Of course, as Lu Chen said, there was no need to pay attention to this matter at all. The more he defended and refuted, the easier it was to be discredited. As for the lawsuit, it was purely Lu Shi's angry words. Lu Chen was really not angry. The dignified EasyNet came to discredit him, which showed that he had a bit of influence. EasyNet was too lazy to waste its space on Tom, Dick, and Harry. Lu Shi also understood. In fact, they were jealous and retaliating. Our album wasn't released on EasyNet before, and our TV series weren't broadcasted by them. EasyNet owns EasyNet Games, EasyNet Music, EasyNet Video, EasyNet Live Broadcast, EasyNet YY, and so on. When Lu Chen's album You Who Sat Next to Me was released online, EasyNet Music also took the initiative to contact it, and the online premiere rights of Autumn in My Heart were also contacted by EasyNet Video. But Lu Chen chose the more powerful QQ Music and QQ Video. It would be strange if EasyNet didn't have any grudges. Even Senki, which Lu Chen's spokesperson advertised on the QQ portal. If the album release of You Who Sat Next to Me was a mosquito's leg, but Autumn in My Heart was simply a big piece of fat meat. So far, the total number of views of this 20-episode TV series on QQ Video has exceeded 3.5 billion, setting the highest average number of views of a series. Relying solely on video advertising and new members, QQ Video has made a lot of money, which made many peers envious, jealous, and hateful. EasyNet Video was undoubtedly one of them. Now, it was normal for EasyNet to discredit Lu Chen. Of course, the moral integrity of this kind of media is basically negative. If Lu Chen sells the online premiere rights of his new TV series to EasyNet Video, he will definitely be praised to the sky immediately. Lu Shi said thoughtfully, "We need to hire a professional media public relations." As mentioned earlier, Lu Chen's rise was too fast, and Lu Chen's studio couldn't keep up at all. So far there were only 2 or 3 members. Not to mention that Lu Shi had to work hard herself, she also had no scruples in many aspects. It was imperative to hire more professionals to join. Only in this way could Lu Chen be better supported. Lu Chen agreed, "Then let's recruit people, and our studio will also have to change places. Not only should the number of people be increased, but the scale of the studio should also be expanded." Lu Chen has already talked to Lu Shi about the establishment of the recording studio, and Lu Shi also agreed. The key to determining the superstructure was the foundation. With a strong team and its own foundation, it would not be easily controlled by others. The only question now was, where would the new studio be opened? In order to avoid repeating the same mistakes, coupled with the need to build a recording studio, the new studio must have a large area of space, as well as the potential and space for follow-up development. In the capital, where every inch of land was expensive, such a place was not easy to find, unless they moved to the outer suburbs. Lu Shi said, "I have asked Director Lin to help me see if I can find a place in the art park." The New Era Arts Center was established in 2001. It was located between Haidian Park and Beijing University. It covered an area of nearly 700 mu. It was one of the key construction projects of Beijing's art and culture. After more than 10 years of development, the New Era Art Park gathered a large number of well-known domestic film and television, music, literature, and art production units. Big and small companies and studios were as many as thousands. It could be called a place where people gathered. For Lu Chen's studio, there was no place more suitable for development than the art park. But the problem was that the place was too good. There was no vacant space at all unless other companies withdrew. This required luck and connections. Otherwise, even if there was a place to rent, it might not be a turn. Lu Chen felt a headache thinking about it. He had promised Wang Hui to build the recording studio as soon as possible. "I'll ask Sister Fei again." She should know someone who knows about it. Compared with Lin Jijia of Flying Stone Records, Qin Fei'er's connections in the circle were undoubtedly stronger. Tap, tap. At this time, the door of the manager's office was gently knocked on. Lu Shi and Lu Qin turned their heads at the same time and saw Lu Shi's assistant, Qin Xin, appear at the door and said, "Sister Lu Shi, brother Lu Qin, Miss Qin Fei'er is here." Qin Fei'er? Lu Shi and Lu Qin looked at each other in dismay. "Speak of the devil and he will come." Lu Qin immediately jumped up from his seat. "I'll go and greet him." Previously, Qin Fei'er called Lu Qin and knew that he was in the studio, but he didn't expect her to come directly now. Then she must have something important to do. Chapter 308. Lu Qin's studio naturally welcomed the arrival of the diva of the singing world. Today Qin Fei'er changed into a Chanel spring dress. Obviously she liked this brand very much. She had been endorsing Chanel's brand all the time, and she was surrounded by a lot of people. Under normal circumstances, there would be at least 5 or 6 people by her side. As for the number of people behind the scenes, it was at least 4 or 5 times more. In fact, it was not the first time for Qin Fei'er to come to Lu Qin's studio. She had been here twice before. Of course it was business. This time was no exception, because her new album had been waiting for too long, and it could not be delayed any longer. As early as last year, the news was released that Qin Fei'er's new album would be her transformational work, so it attracted the attention of the outside world. Fei'er's fans were also eagerly looking forward to the release of this new album. According to the original plan, her album should be released around December last year. However, because of the shooting of Autumn in My Heart, there had been no news until now. Many fans went to her blog to complain. Naturally, Qin Fei'er couldn't sit still. She had great expectations for her new album. She invited 3 works from Lu Qin. Plus the theme song of Autumn in My Heart, Your Eyes. There were currently 4 songs. Write me another song, enough for half of the album. The diva of the singing world begged Lu Qin softly in Lu Shi's manager's office, which made the latter's resistance infinitely drop to 0. "Well, give me some time. I'll write another song for you." A charming smile suddenly appeared on Qin Fei'er's pretty face. She held Lu Qin's hand and said, "Thank you." Ahem. Lu Shi couldn't help coughing and said, "Shall I go out first?" She really couldn't stand the closeness between them. Fortunately, she closed the door just now, otherwise it would be bad if others saw it. Qin Fei'er pursed her lips and said with a smile, "I still have a contract. I need Sister Shi to help Lu Qin read it." Lu Shi was curious. "What contract?" Qin Fei'er took out a document from her bag and handed it to Lu Qin. "It's for you?" Lu Qin took it and looked at it and was immediately stunned. This was a house transfer contract. Qin Fei'er transferred the property of room 1701 of Building 7 of Zicheng Garden District under her name to Lu Qin. The transfer price was 30 million without interest, and it would be paid in 5 years. Lu Qin is now renting a single apartment not far from the studio. The location is not bad and the rent is very cheap, but it is no longer suitable for him to live in. Because Lu Qin's fame is getting bigger and bigger and his public influence is getting higher and higher, the environment he enters and exits is very important, otherwise it will cause a lot of unnecessary trouble. Not to mention anything else, Qin Fei'er sneaked over to meet him privately, and that small apartment was very awkward and inconvenient. Therefore, Lu Qin already had the idea of buying a house in the capital. Qin Fei'er was very supportive of his idea. He even recommended the property in the 300 square meter high-class residential area under his name to him. After all, one should not let the fertile water fall into an outsider's field. However, Lu Qin really couldn't fork out more than 30 million yuan. Qin Fei'er was a very smart woman. She had a good understanding of Lu Qin's character. She knew that the latter would not accept such an expensive gift from her for nothing. Therefore, she took the opportunity to talk about the album and took out such a contract for Lu Qin. He definitely had to pay for the house. There was a discount according to the market price, but it wasn't much cheaper. Considering Lu Qin's actual situation, they offered him a favorable treatment of paying in installments. Of course there were conditions. Qin Fei'er smiled slyly, like a fox that had just stolen a hen. "I don't want your interest, but I won't give you the money for these 5 songs. This way I can avoid taxes." "Paying taxes according to the law is glorious," Lu Qin said with a wry smile. "It seems that I have to sign it." Qin Fei'er really knew him. She knew that he was a little male chauvinist, so she carefully made this contract. He felt warm and touched in his heart. "Let me see." Lu Qin's expression made Lu Shi suspicious. She immediately grabbed the contract from the former's hand. She was also stunned. After a while, her sister asked with a faint smile, "Are you two planning to live together?" This deceiving contract, even if it was worth 30 million yuan, was nothing in Lu Shi's eyes. With Lu Chen's current speed of making money, he didn't need 5 years at all. It would be enough to make a blockbuster TV series. What was really interesting was Chen Feier's thoughts. Chen Feier's pretty face turned red. She took Lu Shi's hand and said, "Sister Shi, this is for your family." This house was a double story with a total of 5 rooms, which was enough for Lu Chen's family to live in. Lu Shi giggled and said, "I won't live here and my mother won't live in the capital. But Lu Chen needs a good house, so I'll let him sign this contract." If at the beginning, Lu Shi still had a little repulsion for Chen Feier, then now she really regarded the latter as her sister-in-law, so she naturally wouldn't interfere with the couple's happy life. Chen Feier smiled happily. What she was most afraid of was that Lu Chen would lose his temper and abandon her intentions. Now she didn't have to worry about it. After all, this house was for 2 people to live in. Lu Chen raised his hands in surrender. "Well, I'll sign it. Let's get down to business." Speaking of business, Chen Feier also had something to say. "Let's go to Flying Stone Records. Big brother Lin wants to meet with us and talk about how to do my new album." Chen Feier's new album was produced by Flying Stone Records, supervised by Lin Jijie himself, and invited many well-known songwriters and arrangers in the circle to join in order to create a successful transformational work. This album was very important to Chen Feier, and Flying Stone Records did not dare to neglect it in the slightest. If it was done badly, it would really smash their own brand. Therefore, the lineup behind the scenes was quite strong. But for both sides, the key to this album was not only Chen Feier, but also Lu Chen. Chen Feier's ambition was very big. Success in sales alone could not satisfy her. What she expected was to create a real classic and complete a gorgeous turn. In this way, the 3 songs originally invited to Lu Chen were not enough, and she needed more fine works. It should be known that all the songs in Lu Chen's album, "You Who Sat Next to Me," have been on the original music chart. Except for Lu Chen, I'm afraid no one else can help Chen Feier fulfill her wish. Because of the recording studio, Lu Chen wanted to talk to Lin Jijie, and now it was just the right time. "Let's go." So the two left Lu Chen's studio together and drove to Flying Stone Records. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.